But that conversation reminds me of a video that I watched a long time ago.
If you stay out in the field long enough, you would love. I think you would just love Metal Gear Solid 5, and like it's a really involved game, so you definitely don't have enough time to play it. But I think you just think like videos online are hilarious.
Yeah.
Like you can drop in a vehicle. You know, you can call in and drop in a vehicle, and people figured out that you can use them as attacks. So they're just like beating boxes, like airdropping weapons onto bosses. It's really funny.
Yeah, that really does. I mean, like, so like I played the one Metal Gear Solid that I did play was Snake Eater, and
Okay.
yeah, and so like I can imagine the type of stuff you're talking about based on the things that you could do in Snake Eater. So I have a general understanding of what you're getting after. But yeah, like you could do stuff like what was it? Like you could like let yourself get like bitten by things and develop immunities to it, and like you can like if he didn't like the food you ate, well, you could just force him to keep eating it until he liked it, and and then it would or like well, anyway, I'm gonna share my screen for a second because this is kind of funny. What you said earlier reminded me of this. It's a thing by The Onion, and it's like a parody on Call of Duty. And
Okay.
yeah, it's really old, but I think it's still relevant, especially for.
The newest entry in the Call of Duty video game series, Modern Warfare 2, is being praised for its ultra-realistic gaming experience. Yet developers are already putting the finishing touches on Modern Warfare 3, which they say will be the most true-to-life military game ever created, with the majority of gameplay spent hauling equipment and filling out paperwork. Tech Trends reporter Jeff Tate has more.
Thanks, Glenn. Whether you're waiting around for orders or cleaning mud off of Humvees, the real-life military action in Modern Warfare 3 never stops. Players take on the role of Private Keyshawn Lewis, a 19-year-old from Clayton, Missouri, who is thrust onto the front lines after the car dealership where he works closes. Gamers will stand guard outside a photorealistic warehouse for hours, dig 10-foot deep holes in the immaculately rendered sand, and sit around complaining about how bad the cell phone reception is.
Man, I get no service out here. Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. When you're playing the game, you are a U.S. Things like avoiding cleaning the mess hall, waiting for the undershirts your mom said she sang 3 months ago. The testers I spoke with were impressed with the game's realism.
You have to drive the supply truck from this village to some other village, and then once you get there, they say the order was messed up, so you drive all the way back.
I just have to do the photo op for Thanksgiving news stories, but I'm stuck at the part where you have to settle a debate between two soldiers about whether they'd rather have sex with Jessica Biel or Shakira.
No, man, because Shakira Jessica Biel could get her. So me and Jessica Biel were standing right there. You wouldn't go for it. Shakira was right there.
I'm at the stage right now where you get homesick and you go out into the desert and just sort of stare at nothing. It's intense.
Modern Warfare 3 also boasts totally authentic gunplay action.
I was just standing there and I got shot in the back, and now I guess the game's over.
In the final levels, Keyshawn returns home, and there's even more excitement. Players are approached by waves of people asking how hot it was and how many people they killed.
You have to face down a college student who's asking
down. And developers are also creating bonus downloadable missions like Redeployment Germany, where players repair Humvees for 10 hours a day. News Network.
Infinity Ward is also developing a version of the game for the Wii, which will come packaged with a 17-pound controller shaped like an M249 machine gun that you must carry at all times, but cannot fire without explicit orders. And still to come, Congress has agreed to stay fire.
I think I've never heard that or seen
Yeah.
that. That's really funny.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
I am amused.
Yeah, that's.
Sounds about right, even for the Navy.
Yeah,
You
17
cannot
pounds.
fire without explicit
That part,
orders.
I don't know about that, but
Yeah, 17,000 hour single player campaign.
Yeah.
2 months later, you get a package that's like smashed and like half the shit's missing from it. There's no, the shampoo is like spilled out and yeah, fucking sorry. Those are my flashbacks. Destroyed mail.
I remember when I was in infantry school. One of the guys that was in school with us, his mother was like a fucking fourth grade teacher or something like that. And so like you know how like I don't know if you guys yeah right. So I don't know if you did this, Jack, when you were little, but you know you write letters to veterans, quote unquote, like when you're kids. And, yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, you just wrote generic letters, and your teachers fucking sent them out somewhere with care packages, including stuff like hand sanitizer and baby wipes and things like that. And you're not allowed to send cigarettes because you're kids. But like, goddamn, if they wouldn't love some cigarettes. Yeah, but we got a package of those while we were in elementary school from this kid's like mother's class. Yeah, it was super hilarious because like they were like, I mean, all of the letters like called us like vet and stuff like that, and and our instructors are just, I mean, they took it in good humor. They're like, you're not a vet, like you haven't done anything. But I think my favorite one, like there was like most of the kids like they had shitty handwriting and they just like obviously didn't give a crap about it, so they just like wrote something. There was one kid that wrote like some really like just really nice, beautifully like written stuff, and it was like it was pretty awesome. And you like if you were a parent, you'd pretty much show that to anybody. Like, look what my child did for the service. But I think my favorite one was it was just some like this kid was super self-aware about the whole thing. He was like basically all he wrote was like, good luck at the war. I hope you kill a bunch of people.
Wow.
I'm like, fuck yeah, this kid. And he even like drew like a GI shooting like a guy. Yeah, this kid knows what's up.
Wow. Wow. That is profound.
Yeah, good luck.
Hey, you know what? If you're gonna be writing a letter to a soldier, I mean, what else could you write?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. At least
Good
like
luck.
legit, because if you're not shooting people,
Achieve victory.
Good luck at the war.
Yeah,
I hope you win.
achieve victory at any cost.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really urge the soldier to be a pacifist.
Are you sure you should be doing this? Maybe you should.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're writing a letter to a soldier, that's not really the time and place to be debating the ethics of war.
Yeah.
Not at
Yeah.
all.
They think that they're over there doing like a moral good.
Even if they don't, what the you telling them not to kill anybody is not going to help.
Right, exactly. Regardless of what you think,
Yeah, this isn't Vietnam.
in this situation, where you're writing a good luck letter to a soldier.
Yeah.
You just gotta go with it.
Yeah. I definitely remember. I don't remember exactly what I wrote, but I remember having to do something like that when I was a kid.
Seems to me I've done this
Yeah.
too.
It's like,
In the 80s.
I don't remember doing that.
Well, I don't know what the hell happened in the 80s.
And I was in elementary school during the Gulf War. The first one. I guess they just didn't care about those guys.
Or maybe your school didn't.
Yeah, I went to a yuppie school, so.
Cody, you were like 3 for the first Gulf War, so you weren't doing shit.
Yeah, but I was in middle school after 9/11.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You thought, well, maybe your school didn't care about.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I was like in first grade, maybe second grade.
Middle school.
I had to I had to have been in first grade.
Yeah, well, who wants a letter from a first grader? What are you gonna write anyway?
Well, those guys kicked the shit out of they kicked the shit out of those other guys.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of stuff like that on deployment. They were cute, but like it didn't mean anything because like I didn't know these kids.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's not any kids that you.
One thing we got that was really helpful, although we were in the Gulf, we got a huge box, actually 2 big boxes of hats and scarves. We're in the Gulf, so nobody on the fucking ship wanted those except for combat and the CES, where it was cold and air conditioned and fucking freezing all day long. So that actually was pretty helpful. Cool. Thank you, old ladies that sent us knitted hats. It was pretty rad. Everybody else was like, why?
My dad bought this commemorative deck of Gulf War trading cards.
Gulf War, interesting.
Yeah, it was just like trading cards.
Like baseball cards.
yeah, like baseball cards.
That is amusing.
Well, now that you mention that, I have a.
That's what I thought of.
I have a deck of cards.
I love this, Jack.
It's yeah. Check that out. I got that when I was in school.
I never got shit. I was actually deployed that war.
No, I physically, like, my parents went out and bought these. Like, this wasn't something they were giving out in school. Like, my parents, like, physically went out and got these. And it's like, this contains all the terrorists of the day, and like. Yeah.
Okay, so this is like from 9/11.
Yeah, this was after 9/11, yeah. And I'm looking, where the fuck is the Ace of Spades? I'm assuming that the Ace of Spades is is it still in the box? Oh yeah, it's still in the box. Yeah. Right, yeah, so the Ace of Spades is like Saddam Hussein, and then there's the other aces are Saddam's extended family. And then and it's a bunch of guys named Arabic al-Arabic.
I would recognize some of those.
Yeah, there's a lot of like, we could play like Count the Mohammeds.
Oh. Dominic to this day still recounts when you used to play that Risk game on your phone.
Oh yeah.
And you were really exasperated because all of the other players were teaming up against you and they were chatting in squiggly.
Yeah, that fucking game, dude. Like what is with all the fucking Arabs playing that game?
Hey, it could have been Farsi, you don't know.
It was squiggly talk, that's all I know.
Tony's sitting in class and he's venting because all the opponents are talking in squiggly. That's how he that's how he referred to it.
Like they obviously team up against me, and like I like this is some racist ass bullshit. Like y'all get in the chat room and you figure out like, oh, this guy doesn't talk squiggles. Like, let's team up on that. Like, you guys are fucking assholes. Like, just play the fucking game. But no, you guys all have to come after me first because I'm fucking American. You guys are fucking assholes. And so, yeah, I get a little bit pissed about it. You get in the game. Like I almost changed my username on that thing to Muhammad Al something, so I could like get left alone.
Yeah, Dominic loves that story.
I
bet Dominic does love that story.
That is some funny shit. Ugh.
It was pretty funny. I mean, it just came out of nowhere.
He said it was funny and it came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just sitting. It was like before class or something. And he was sitting at his seat and he's like, they're all talking squiggly. And we're like, what? And then he showed us his phone.
They're all talking squiggly. Oh, that's good.
Well, did I tell you I duped my 4-star Wolverine recently?
Nice.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. That's my new thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, like, I know, when we were playing, like, you had to be careful how you used them because people could have all these ridiculous buffs that made like his bleed like heal them.
Yeah, they've kind of fixed some of that stuff. I don't know whether people just don't buy that mastery anymore, or if they just nerfed it in general. But no, it's not the case that like, at least in like everything that I've done recently, it's not the case that like bleeding makes people heal more than it hurts them.
Okay. Yeah, so you couldn't really use them in like if you were positioning them on that board, or you couldn't really use them like in like team events like that.
Yeah. No, it's gotten a lot better. The Alliance wars have gotten a lot better.
There's a bean on the floor, you turkey.
They're easier.
Did you join an alliance?
I did. Yeah, I just joined I joined an alliance that looked like they were relatively active. I don't think I could ever catch back up to getting back with our old alliance.
Wow.
I mean, their weakest member has like 5 fully maxed out 4-star characters.
You know what? I'm gonna try not to play it, but I'm gonna download it.
What?
Just to check it out. There is there is an army of Asgard retired alliance.
Huh.
It's only got 3 members and they don't play at all. But it's like I think it's like historically number 1, and like 2 other people that were AOA back in the day.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, I think if you wanted to, you might be able to join that if they even let you in.
I'm just gonna see what my roster was.
Your roster was actually like, you got really shit luck with your 5-star guys, but it's not a bad roster in general.
All right, I'm launching the game.
They have new things that they're called dungeons, and it's basically like it's a 2-man effort. So you can play with your buddy in a dungeon.
Huh.
It's on a rotation every day. So like they have two class types. Like I think today was like skill and mystic or something like that. And like the whole dungeon is just filled with those types. So you and a buddy can bring three heroes each into the dungeon and see how far you get.
Wow, neat. Who's this rock guy? Is it?
That's Korg, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Is it cool if it's here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can.
Oh, jeez.
What?
It's been so long.
Yeah, right. It's been a lot. Yeah, there's just so much going on with this game that you have to keep track of. Once you get back into the flow of it, though, like it all falls back into place. Since yeah, it takes a while.
Yeah, I remember. It was like a routine every day.
Yeah, you have to get on. You have to do the alliance quest. You have to do the alliance war. You have to fight in the arena, and then
Yeah.
you have to 3 weeks. You're not allowed to open anything or upgrade anybody for 3 weeks, and then you have to then it's opening time, and you you just go nuts. It's like Christmas every month.
Yeah, it was like Christmas.
You're like, oh, I wonder who I'm gonna get this time. Yeah, and that's basically how it is now, except there's more things to do. They have event quests on like a regular basis, so you're not lacking for things to do. The story is extraordinarily hard.
Wow.
I think they upped the difficulty recently because they've added 6-star heroes. I don't know if you've noticed that yet.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
Yeah, they've added 6-star heroes, so that's a thing now. Yeah, so I think they upped the difficulty of the story because I tried to play the next thing in line for the story, and I just I made it about halfway through, and I had to revive my team like 4 times. I'm like, yeah, this isn't something that's good for me.
Wow. Oh yeah, it's all coming back to me now. Captain America, World War II Captain America.
Yeah. Supposedly, Blade is the best character in the game right now.
Okay, I think I quit playing before he was released.
Yeah. Yeah, you obviously played a while after I quit because I don't remember you being that advanced when I quit.
Yeah, you did quit. And then I probably played like a month more.
Yeah.
And then I quit.
Yeah. It takes up a lot of your life.
It's still connecting to the server. Oh yeah, the daily rewards.
Yeah, the daily quests.
All right, let's see. This is ridiculous. I have 5-star Juggernaut, 5-star Ronin, 4-star Spider-Gwen,
Yeah, that was your favorite one for whatever reason.
4-star Captain Marvel, 4-star Wolverine, a duped 4-star Thor, a duped 4-star Superior Iron Man, a duped 4-star Black Widow, duped 4-star Captain America, duped 4-star Black Panther.
Yeah, pretty like except for Thor, pretty much all of your characters that you have are considered to be garbage tier. Yeah, like I'd do anything for dupe Thor. Him and Wolverine are probably in Star-Lord. If you dupe him, I get like is considered to be like top 5. So I do have I do have a dupe 4-star of him. I've never seen the advantage of it, but I guess I don't know. I guess things are different now.
Wow. Yeah, my most powerful guy is the Juggernaut.
Yeah. Juggernaut is like Juggernaut is low garbage tier.
Wow.
Especially if you don't have him duped. He can be mid tier as a defender if you have him duplicated. But just by himself, he's just garbage tier. I think about like some of the only ones that are worse than that are like Colossus and freaking Cyclops.
Huh. Yeah, I'll have to explore this later. Just don't play the game, Jack. Whatever you do, don't play the game.
Yeah, just don't play the game. But if you do, I'm in an alliance called Odin's Misfits.
Did you get these from in there?
Yeah, I did.
They were too cheap.
Oh, is that why they were in there? I didn't. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
I got them from Wings. They're brand new.
Yeah,
They're
too small.
Fit.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's really the only video game we ever like played together consistently. And we really played the shit out of it. Hello? Hello?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that's really the only video game we ever played together consistently.
Yeah, Contest of Champions.
Yeah, we played the shit out of it.
Wow, I got 92 crystals.
Wow, you must have been saving for something.
And yeah, I'll have to dig into this later.
Yeah, good. Yeah, for another time.
And whatever I do, don't play the game.
You're gonna get back into it. I promise.
Don't play it. Oh man, this was a bad idea.
I know. It's not. I should have just removed it from my phone, but it was always sitting there, and I ignored it for like years. And one day I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna update it and see what's going on.
Oh, and then that was it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because like you, I was saving up for for an opening day, and so I had like 90 crystals and and all kind of shit going on. So it was just like, yeah, let's see what's up.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Have you seen the trailer for the new Doom game?
No.
Well, okay. Let's go ahead and Let's just watch it.
I do have Doom 2016.
Yeah, but Doom Eternal is the thing that's going on right now.
You ready to rip and tear? Yeah, we've updated some favorites.
Okay, here we go. Holy shit. What's the, oh, is that the invite? Yeah.
You may notice a slight change to the environment. Fear not, it's all part of the plan.
Wow.
Pay attention to the announcer in the background. Yeah.
Holy fuck.
My brothers and sisters, let's help to make our friends transition into their new world a comfortable one.
Right. So you caught that. Basically yeah, like despite how badass that game footage is.
Yeah.
I could skip through and try to find all the spots where you hear stuff like that, but the whole thing is like I think one of the oh well yeah, you can kind of see on the text above one of the things that the AI says is remember, demon can be an offensive term. Refer to them as mortally challenged. Yeah, and
Okay.
there's I like so throughout this. If you actually watch the whole thing, it's kind of like it's filled with like basically pro immigration dialogue that's like
Yeah, okay.
just had words exchanged so that like you could speak of the demon invasion with the same rhetoric and it would sound absurd. And apparently a lot of people are really pissed off about this.
Huh.
Yeah.
They're pissed off about like the mocking tone of it.
Yeah. They're pissed off that Doom Eternal takes a like makes mockery of leftist politically correct stance on immigration.
Well, video games are kind of a toxic culture.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, like, it's super on the nose. And I guess like the like the people complaining about it, like like I don't know, like the red state seems like a super fucking conservative,
Yeah.
like I'm not exactly sure what kind of literature it has, but what's going on, dude? I'm hearing a lot of beeping from your end.
I was just setting the alarm.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm done now. So.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so these are like tweets about the trailer from people who like clearly weren't gonna play the game in the first place.
Yeah.
They just want like they just want to be edgy and complain about something. Kind of worried because of the jokes, felt questionable. Like, well, yeah, like like something like demon is an offensive term. Please refer to them as morally challenged. Like, yeah, it's just like it's people like just like this website decided to make a collection of people just overreacting about the jokes. Yeah, it's just like like fucking take a joke, and it's like, and you can
Yeah,
find
right.
more. Yeah, no, well, yeah, it was, yeah, it is a joke, but then there's people who are like, yeah, I was excited about this game until they took this stance on immigration or whatever. It's like, I
Oh,
guess
jeez.
it's not gonna
Oh,
fuck.
jeez.
Yeah, that's the type of people who are like, yeah, that's the type of people who are tweeting about this. It's like, no, yeah, I don't doubt for a second that these people don't even give a shit about the video game itself. They're just looking for an opportunity to virtue signal about like,
Yeah.
like, oh, this is offensive, blah blah blah. And and I guess like the funniest part about it is, if you really think about it, if you find this offensive, you must actively think that like all illegal immigrants and refugees and all that stuff are actually like as bad as the demons.
Right. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there is no gradient to them for them.
Yeah.
Like you can enjoy the humor of it.
Yeah.
Without showing your hand in terms of your position. You know what I mean? Firstly, I didn't really view that as a anti-immigration or mocking the immigration topic.
Well, if your stance on immigration is solely based on rhetoric, then I suppose you might find the mockery of this game offensive.
I don't know too much about the Doom lore. I do have Doom 2016. I played through probably 3/4 of the game. The presentation there seemed to be the Doom Marine was in a post-apocalyptic, obviously a setting where our world and hell had merged.
Yeah.
And there was some, figure representative of the Central Power spouting propaganda.
Yeah.
That's what I got from it. I did not get any commentary on current issues.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the cry bullies are always going to find something to cry bully about.
Yeah.
That term before? Yeah.
That's what kind of gets me about it. Like, you're right. I don't think the game is explicitly making taking a stand on one side or the other in terms of immigration.
The game is not objectively sat there and saying that like, oh, all the refugees and immigrants are just demons. They're like, they're here to steal your souls, and like that's not what the game. Like what the game is doing is like it's making fun of the rhetoric that people use.
Yeah, that's what I got from it.
Yeah. It's like, do you not understand that, like, that rhetoric alone does not, make
the announcer is clearly not on the side of the good guys. So, the players being informed that whatever they're hearing isn't true.
Yeah.
Just be comparing what the announcer is saying to the reality of the Doom Marine,
I mean, and that's what makes it funny is that like you're sitting here like you're the all powerful voice that dictates reality down to people is trying to tell folks that have like boots on the ground what their experience should be, and like like these people are actually living a different reality.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Like and there is like a parallel to reality, regarding like the overwhelming amount of refugees being taken in by certain countries that but it's that's just where we're at. Like that's where, I mean, this is why Gamergate had to happen in the first place, was because of nonsense like this where people freak out over video games that they honestly would never have any interest in the first place.
Yeah.
And they come and they demand that certain things be removed from a video game that otherwise wouldn't have been on their radar, but somebody told them to be offended, and so now they're out there actively trying to destroy people's livelihood.
That's it right there.
Yeah.
That's it right there.
Somebody told you to be offended, so now you have to destroy somebody's livelihood.
Yeah, like watch the trailer. Oh yeah, exactly. Form a mob, trash this game on the internet, and then no one will buy it. And then suddenly the world will be a better place.
Yeah.
Bigotry defeated.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like that comic you posted on Facebook where the guy was being overwhelmed by the statue. He's like, I suddenly feel racist. And
I don't quite remember that, but
and then he was like, this character was in the South or something, and there was a Confederate statue, and like the guy was like falling to his knees. He's like, I suddenly feel more racist, and then like an SJW warrior like intervened,
smash you down. Yeah, it's like, oh, thank you for like, I get, I can imagine that I would have posted something like that because I'm sure
like you're not actually doing anything,
yeah
by vocalizing your opinion on the internet. You're just not. I mean, not to sound crotchety, old and crotchety. If you just express your opinion on a forum or on Twitter about how inappropriate the new Doom game is, you're not doing anything.
I mean, here's the thing, though. You actually are doing something. The Dead or Alive Extreme series, the beach volleyball series that's just anime tits all over the place.
Yeah.
Well, Dead or Alive Extreme 3 isn't coming to North America. It's not coming to the West. And I'm trying to find... I didn't actually find an article. I had read something about this earlier. I never actually found an article. But I'll keep looking. But the deal is the game is not going to be released in the West at all because the developers didn't want to catch all of the flack from from Western game journalists.
Oh, geez, like IGN and
yeah, like they didn't want to be harassed constantly about the content of their game. And it's like the developers basically like put out an explicit statement that said that like the gaming industry in the United States is just like not conducive, like is not like friendly to games like that are live extreme, and they don't want to deal with all of the all the media blowback that would, and
well, just don't submit a review copy.
well,
I mean,
that's like
there's definitely an audience for that game, and they're gonna buy it regardless of the reviews.
Right. Yeah, and so there are some third party places that are like they're going to sell it in North America regardless, and I mean and these places are being attacked because and it's one of those things where like if nobody paid attention nobody would care, but because uh because of the incessant hounding from people who find Dead or Alive Extreme to be offensive.
Oh, jeez.
And like the constant awareness and presence of these assholes. This game that sells to pretty much nobody is
right. It's not like Mario where 100 million people are playing it.
Yeah. It's just a game that nobody gives a shit about, and it wasn't it wasn't gonna be released in the United States because of incessant media hounding of anything that's not politically correct, and you have SJWs all over the place saying like we're not going to take away your Dead or Alive tits volleyball games, and it's like, well, it fucking happened. You guys are such assholes that foreign developers aren't going to send their Dead or Alive tits volleyball games over here anymore. So it's like, well, like what do you have to say about that? You guys did this. Not that I give a shit. I never bought that game, but like.
Right. Yeah.
What's next? Like you already took away our tits volleyball. Like what's gonna be next?
Well, there's obviously I believe Dead or Alive was a fighting game franchise.
Yeah, it was.
And I have the Wikipedia up for Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball now. Yeah. That was kind of a spin-off game.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
It was released in.
They took all the chicks from that game. They blew their boobies up, and they gave them individual physics.
Yeah, but that game was noteworthy because it's probably, and this is an objective critique of this game. It's probably the best volleyball game ever created. It was noted for its. No, I'm not making this up.
I do remember reading that about that game. Is that like the actual the gameplay was remarkably good for a volleyball game.
Yeah, so it's one of the most technically impressive volleyball games on the market that just happens to be packaged in this anime
hypersexualized anime body. Yeah.
And I could don't misunderstand me. I could see where that would be offensive to some people. I really do.
But who? Like who cares?
And I definitely agree with that. Like who cares? And I guess the only thing I can think of on why stuff like that is just butchered by people that have no stake in it is they must have a genuine belief that dead or alive. Well, it's like a product of the patriarchy. You know,
No.
The patriarchy creates stuff like this that conditions boys to be, violent, disrespectful towards women,
Yeah.
and then some of them will eventually go on to rape. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like an offshoot of the people that say, oh, video games create killers.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Or yeah. Video games are always
Video games create rapists.
Yeah.
So we as a community have to be very vocal against what's in video games because we're going to stop rape.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a stretch. I mean, in my opinion, in a free society, you release stuff and you let people make their own decisions, and if someone actually commits a crime, you punish them.
That's
You don't
sort of-
thought police everyone.
Yeah.
I guess that's just my opinion of it.
Yeah. Well, okay, so here's the thing. I don't doubt for a second that the people who complain about such things are legitimately concerned about them. What I do kind of like what I do care about, or what I do think is I don't trust people who make exorbitant amounts of money complaining about such things to be honest about the reality of that thing.
Yeah.
So, like if your whole life is being a journalist who covers misogyny in video games, I don't trust you for a second to be honest about what video games are being misogynist, because your whole livelihood depends on a video game being sexist and misogynist. And so you have to just pick games and say this game is terrible and it's full, it's this and that. And you have to create controversy out of nothing in order for you to still exist. And that's the same thing that I look at with people who make careers out of convincing everybody that the United States is like a racist country. It's like, yeah, I can, if you're just an individual talking to me, I could believe you about points of data and American perceptions about things, and we can talk about how racist the United States actually is. But if you're a person who makes multi-millions of dollars talking about how racist the United States is, I don't believe you for a second that you have an unbiased about the situation. You're just peddling propaganda because it makes you rich. You're not you, Mr. Al Sharpton, you're not the person to listen to about how racist America is, because
that's
if
true.
America wasn't racist, you'd be out of a fucking job. And so what incentive do you have to admit that we've come anywhere as a society?
Yeah.
No, your incentive is to if anything, you are monetarily incentivized to think that we've gone backwards. And so
I mean, why aren't these same people? There's this game for PC and probably for mobile devices. It's called Hot Dad Dating Simulator. Why isn't Hot Dad Dating Simulator getting crushed? Out of the Google Play Store.
Because nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit.
Well, why not? It's hypersexualizing, dads those people would like to fuck, DILFs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about who's the audience for that game. Why? As a developer, I can't even see making a game like that because, who the fuck's gonna buy it?
I couldn't tell you, but I know it's a popular game.
It's probably downloaded by a lot of DILFs, or a lot of guys who imagine themselves to be DILFs.
I think a lot of women play it. Huh. It's like a Japanese style dating simulator, where instead of the
Instead of
characters you
like,
court.
yeah, instead of like hot, like questionably aged chicks, you have like
Yeah, right.
financially
Instead of being in high school,
yeah, you have
dating high school
financially
girls.
responsible older men who have like
Yeah,
so,
like single dads. Yeah,
yeah,
like hot
oh,
single
man,
dads.
so hot you make 6 figures and you also take care of a kid. Oh man, it's really getting
right.
that's like
Yeah,
that's sexual fantasy.
I mean this is a popular game, and you're starting to see stuff like that emerge. Basically, sex games targeted towards females.
Yeah.
So if Extreme Beach Volleyball 3 is a problem, why isn't the dads in?
Right.
You know,
Well,
that's another problem I have with this. Is there's no consistency with it.
Yeah, the total hypocrisy. Yeah, no, it's
So
it's
you could sexualize the dads, but you can't sexualize the female martial artists.
Yeah, really.
You know the kind of guy that looks forward to Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball 3, like, just bless him. You know what I mean? Like, this is a guy who clearly does not talk to females, who has terrible luck with women.
Yeah, I remember really.
In the dating pool.
Yeah, I remember enjoying games like that when I was 16 years old.
Yeah, just leave that guy alone.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, don't take away the one thing he has.
Good night.
Good night.
Hey, guys.
Yeah. If you're an adult and that's like a thing going on with you, like, just, I mean, you're probably not sharing it with anybody.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
that's exactly it. Like, just leave that guy alone.
Yeah.
Let him have his Dead or Alive Beach Volleyball 3.
Yeah, and leave the teenagers alone too. Like, they need to, like, they got, like, there's so much hormonal going on with them. Like, we have, as a society, we have no idea how to deal with teenagers' hormones.
But here's the thing though, like,
leave them go.
And we've already mentioned this already. Like, these people think that men are conditioned to be, sex addicts.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I don't believe that. I think men just have, during their
drive. There's a
right.
Yeah, there's a
and
natural.
If you take away the beach volleyball game,
it's still gonna be there.
They're gonna find something else. You know what I mean? Like, it
could be the Sears catalog.
These people think that if you just reshape culture, you're gonna have emasculated, non-sexual creatures.
No,
I don't really believe that's the case.
No. Well, that's not the case because more and more. Like, more and more frequently, there are, like, teenagers having sex with their, like, high school teachers and stuff like that. And it's like, like,
right.
What is that a symptom of? That's a symptom of, like, emasculated, men who are actually of, like, legal consensual age, who have just, like, they've been taught into oblivion that, like, basically all sex is rape. And then you have teenagers who just don't give a shit and they're just horny all the time. And so, like, these women are going and having sex with these, like, ultra virile, like, hypersexual teenagers. And they should fucking know better. But because all of the men their age are just such enormous pussies, they can't have good relationships with people they should be having sex with.
Yeah, these poor kids. These poor kids.
Poor kids.
these poor kids. This world. This world that's being created for them. They're not gonna have awesome video games to play,
Well, they will.
There's not gonna. Well, here's the thing though. These people that have just such outrage over Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball 3 or Doom Eternal. What they're trying to do is they're trying to, like, you know, form culture into their image.
Yeah.
So there will be video games to play, there will be movies to watch, but it'll all be pre-approved by the censorship board.
Exactly.
And these people are so hypocritical that they don't see that as fascism.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Yeah, it's not fascism when we do it.
Right. You know, fascism, you know, the absence of fascism is to just release the stuff and let people make their own judgment.
Yeah, that's liberty, and yeah, that's like libertarianism. Like, just.
But and you know, these people, like you know, at the Vinylum lunch table, you have me and Dominic and my friend Ryan, who he's kind of like a moderate to left-leaning Democrat, and then a hyper feminist. And she'll talk to Dominic, and she'll critique his Christianity. You know, she'll say, "Oh, you know, what you're saying is counter to Christianity," and he'll be like, "Well, what do you mean?" And she's like, "Well, in my version of Christianity, this is the view you should have." And she doesn't see that she's imposed, like, she is elevating herself to the judge.
Yeah,
so she's saying, you know, in my world, I will allow Christianity.
Somebody, like, she gets to determine what Christianity is. Like, are you fucking kidding? No, like,
Right.
I don't think anybody gets to dictate to Dom what Christianity is, except people higher in the church than him. Like, I'm pretty sure that Dominic.
Well, that's kind of a different subject. You know what I mean? But yeah, like, yeah. So you can practice Christianity as long as it's her version of it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and
so
who are you to decide? Well, yeah, and that's the other thing. Like, that's the thing with Islam too, is that, like, you know, like, people who have nothing to do with the actual religion are takfiring pretty much, like, the majority of Muslims out of Islam because it doesn't conform to their hypothetical version of what Islam is. When the reality is, most of the world considers Islam to be this pretty violent religion where you kill people who don't believe in you and your God. Like, that's
yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, well, yeah, that's nice that, like, the Western world has a different view of what Islam is than the majority of people who believe in it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like, that's nice that you could sit here. I mean, there's, like, a satirical article from, like, 3 years ago that, like, you know, it's official, like, you know, like, Islam has been, like, you know, elected the religion of peace or whatever. It's like it's farcical at this point. To sit here and say that, like, that Islam means peace is just, that's just, like, the height of irony to say such.
Yeah. right. And,
you know, like, if you're sat there believing that everybody who's a Muslim just wants peace on earth and just wants to get along with their fellow man, you are just full of shit.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say for you.
And what I find pretty hypocritical about it is these people, you know, their argument is, when it comes to issues they care about or things that they relate to, their arguments are usually from experience.
Yeah.
Where, you know, as a woman, this is my experience, so my view on women's issues is superior to anyone else that isn't a woman.
Yeah, I can't really blame you for that.
What I'm saying, though, is the hypocrisy of these people is So they just want you to accept their views on things because they have more relevant experience.
Yeah.
But they have no problem,
Overriding your
diminishing
personal experience. Yeah.
or excluding entirely Dominic's experience as a Christian.
Yeah.
One, and further, they define Christianity for him, so
Yeah.
they don't give others the same respect that they're asking for. Respect me and my views as a trans person because I have the relevant experience.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they'll bash Christianity or they'll bash video game culture.
Yeah.
They'll bash all of these things because they don't conform to the views they have on what those things should be.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Yeah.
I'm a gamer. Like, I'm a gamer. Don't tell me what video games should be.
Yeah.
If you don't want me to tell you what the experience of a trans person should be, or what laws should be in place for abortion, then don't tell me what video game culture should be, because you're not a gamer.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the things that I super agree with you. Like, there's not a whole lot of stuff that I get worked up about, but like when people who aren't gamers come in and try to dictate to me how games should be like that, like I get furious about that, and I'm just like, get out of my realm, get out of my existence. You don't fucking belong here. You don't play these things. You don't get a say. You didn't put money into you didn't spend hours and like thousands of hours of your life and hundreds of dollars into this existence. You don't get a fucking say. Get the fuck out of my life. And it's like,
I mean that's what they're asking for on their topics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of my way and just let me decide for myself. Like,
so it's a very hypocritical worldview, in my opinion. They don't treat others like they want to be treated.
Yeah. Those are that's the two things: video games and the military. Like, if you haven't served in the military, get the fuck. You don't deserve an opinion about it. Get the fuck out.
Yeah, that's kind of like a separate discussion, but also a very interesting one.
Get out of the Marine Corps. Like, that's my Marine Corps. I get to make decisions about it. You don't if you haven't earned the right to be a Marine. Fuck you.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, fuck you if you think that you know what's best for the Marine Corps. If you haven't been a Marine and you don't you didn't earn the fucking right. Good luck.
They do when it comes to making it more inclusive.
No, screw you. Get the fuck out of my life. Get out of here. You don't belong here. You didn't care enough to put in the 13 weeks that it takes to just be a Marine, let alone go through infantry training and understand what it takes to be a person who is willing and capable to go into combat. Get the fuck out of here.
Well, these people, like this hypothetical person we're talking about, but in a lot of ways is very real.
Yeah.
They're like a child. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where when it comes to the military, when it comes to the police, they don't understand the fundamental function of those groups.
Yeah.
So they look at them and they
government.
Well, let's take the military for example. That body is for defense, and if need be, attack. That's the function of it. It exists because there's a recognition that there are threats.
Yeah, there are threats in the world to our freedom, and we need to exterminate them.
So there could be a discussion on how big the military should be. What kind of tactics should be sanctioned or considered humane.
Yeah.
But to say, the military should be a third of what it is, or there should be no military at all, is just, that's not an adult view. Because these people just, like my friend, the hyper feminist, just says, "Oh, I'm kind, so others should be kind as well." That's not an adult speaking. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's the worldview of like a 9-year-old. Like, are you kidding me?
Oh, if we're just kind, others will be kind to us. No, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen.
If you're, you know, like if you're me, you can be kind to everybody, and everybody will be kind to you, because nobody's gonna fuck with me.
Yeah.
Like I have the luxury to be kind to everybody, because nobody in their right mind thinks that, like, oh, I'm gonna get violent with this person and take something from him.
Most people won't. There might be there might be a handful of people that would, but for the most part, you're right. No one's gonna fuck with you.
Do that, yeah, because and I don't need to get physically threaten anybody. I'm really big, I'm really strong, and I'm well built. And
right.
So if you think you're gonna fight me and take something from me, you're just retarded.
Yeah.
But that's also not the reason that people don't fuck with me. People don't fuck with me because they recognize that I'm a nice person. So diplomacy comes into play way before all the other things. But if I break diplomacy for any reason, I have a way to back it up. Like I can beat the shit out of you if diplomatic matters don't go through. And that's kind of what you have to have in order to maintain peace with people, is like, okay, if you don't want to deal with me rationally and securely, we can fight and I'll kick your ass. And then we can, we can see who's right and who's wrong by, who draws blood first.
Well, I guess my point is so yeah, these people will look at the military, for example, and they'll say, "Oh, that's a culture that's not friendly to women," or "That's a culture that's not trans inclusive." And so they'll try to impose practices on these organizations to make them so. But there's just a misunderstanding of why is that important given the role and function of that organization.
Yeah.
If the organization is for the purpose of defense, why is it important that it's a friendly place for women?
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, it's not a club. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like Vinaloom. Where we compete in the private sector, and we hire civilians.
Yeah.
So it's really not. I think we could all agree it's not good if we're just like a bunch of misogynists who are say crude things to every female that walks through the door. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's no good logical reason for why you couldn't hire females to do the same job that males can do at your company.
And that's kind of a different. I'm not saying like. I guess what I mean is like, let's make the assumption that the Marines are trans. They're not. It's not a friendly group for trans people.
Yeah.
I don't know if it is or not, but let's just make that assumption.
Like you mean as like an attitude wise, like we all just let's make that assumption just to say.
So let's make that assumption. So someone that's trans or an SJW, that offends them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They view that as a problem. So like when Donald Trump, for example, says, we're going to exclude trans people from the military because their healthcare costs are too expensive. They view that as some kind of, human rights violation.
Yeah.
But they're not considering that, those are a body of people that you would want to be of sound body and mind, where if they have to go out and kill someone,
Yeah. Yeah, they're not
They're
sitting
equipped to
there
do
worrying
so.
about. Yeah, they're not worried about whether or not they're
This is kind of getting off topic. I'm not going to attack a trans person in this scenario, but let's take a non-binary person. You know, if someone can't decide which gender they are at a particular moment,
Yeah.
that person probably shouldn't be in the military.
Yep.
So I guess my point is, like, it shouldn't matter if the Marines or the Army or whatever it may be is friendly to non-binary people, because that person probably shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
That's not a good job for them. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and the other thing is most, like, 99% of the military is non-combat arms. So I can see
Yeah,
where,
right.
yeah, I can see where a lot of people who aren't combat arms, like it doesn't matter if you sit behind a desk all day and you work a 9 to 5 desk job for the military. I don't see where that matters, but where it does matter is in the fucking infantry. And it matters.
Yeah,
It matters for good biological reasons. Like,
but
what?
I'm sure even the desk jobs, you know, in the extreme circumstances, I'm sure day to day this wouldn't be an issue. But if there was something real going on, it's probably high anxiety work.
It is high. Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. It is high anxiety work. And
So
if you have personal anxiety over your own individual gender, well, you're not suited
yeah.
for military service. Like, that's just like fundamentally that has to be true. Like, if you can't sort out what gender you are on a regular basis, how can you fucking sort out a military job? That,
So I guess my point is, like, when it comes to the execution of the work, that should have higher precedence than whether the group itself is friendly to every conceivable identity.
yeah, no,
If that makes any point, I think that gets lost, and I think that's the immaturity of these people who get, you know, like you were referencing, they intrude on the Marines.
yeah,
They're not going to be Marines. They're never going to be Marines. But because we live in a society where people get to vote, they can subtly influence them. You know what I mean? I agree with you. That's kind of infuriating. I mean,
yeah,
I feel the same way when it comes to business issues. These
yeah.
people that don't own anything, and that their only skill is eating and shitting, you know, can subtly influence
My business.
how I run my business. Like, that really infuriates me. So I definitely can relate to you being infuriated, or
Yeah,
these, you know, hypothetical fucking idiots we're talking about.
yeah. We spent
Uh,
this last AT that we had. It's probably the longest period I've ever spent in the field. It was 9 days and nights. And like, I I I don't know if you've ever spent a period of time for 9 days where you didn't have access to running water, and
yeah, yeah, I have.
yeah, well, yeah.
When I went to Liberia.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So you probably know what it's like to, to have to, like, clean yourself with wet wipes and be sparing about it, and change your underwear, like, and work like
Yeah,
15 hours a day, fucking sweating your ass off, and and take care of your, like, and you got like 3 changes of underwear, so you have to be sparing about it. So you kind of know what's going on here, and it's like,
yeah,
yeah, and so, like, you're out, and you're covered in sand, and you're up, you're down, and you get 2 half meals a day, and you know, like sometimes you just want to like whip your dick out and take a piss, and you got to walk a half mile to do that so that you're not in the presence of a fucking female.
Huh.
And that's just like some of the things. It's like, why do I like, why, if I want to take a shit, do I have to like preclude myself from the presence of a female? Like, that's just,
Yeah, I see what you mean.
yeah, it's
And
like that.
so SJW culture invading on this. It's just not right.
Yeah. Here's like, we either need to change societal standards for how we perceive each other so that we can like all piss and shit openly in front of each other, or
You know, yeah. You know what though? When it comes to discussions like that, people don't want to have them.
yeah, no, nobody wants to talk about
You know
that.
what I mean? Like when it comes to actually talking about it, like when that one guy he said the N-word. Oh, the Papa John's guy. He like said the N-word and he had to sell his business or whatever.
Yeah.
He like sold his shares or whatever. Or no, he like stuff. I can't even remember the story, but you got the gist.
Yeah. My favorite meme like surrounding that was like it was the Papa John's like guy with like the Papa John's logo and all that stuff, and then like below the logo it said like, do you have any idea how hard it is to make a pepperoni pizza without saying nigger? That was my favorite memes, right? Because like I didn't give a shit about Papa John and like what is like, you know, whatever. Like I don't give a shit if he's racist or whatever. Like, but that was a really funny meme.
Well, we were talking about that at lunch, and at the end of the conversation, I said, you know, as an aside, you know, I don't believe that one should use the N-word. So now that that's, you know, out there,
Yeah.
you know, I said as an aside, I think we're kind of at the point where as a group, we need to decide whether this is an appropriate word or not.
Yeah, as humanity. Like
we either as a group, right? We all have to decide that we're not going to say it.
Yeah,
all of us.
Yeah, or everybody.
Or we have to all decide that it's okay to say.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's the only way it's going to lose its offensive power.
Well,
and no one wanted to talk about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we all have to be comfortable with shitting around each other. Like no one wants to talk about this stuff.
Yeah,
they just want to be offended if you shit in front of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just want to be offended if someone uses the N-word. Like you just want to keep getting offended by it.
Well, I mean, like the reason.
Oh, by the way, there's a multi-billion-dollar industry that profits off of that word.
Yeah, every other word that they say is that word, and
people are gonna hear it.
Yeah, like what the fuck are you? Yeah, right. Yeah, for some reason.
So how can you expect half the people, or 60% of the people, or 80% of the people not to say it?
Yeah.
So you're gonna hear this word multiple times a day, but 80% of the people can't say it.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Under no circumstance can 80% of the people say this word.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, why did 20% of the people get to say it?
Yeah. Yeah. Those are the people
without any consequence.
Yeah. No. And those are the type of people who are actively like, you know, like, oh, when is racism gonna end? It's like, well, you know, like maybe racism will end when you start, you know, thinking of yourselves as being American rather than fucking black. Like,
yeah,
maybe that's a start. Jesus Christ, you know.
But no one wants to. I guess my point is like, there's just such an immaturity about it. Like it's like saying like my 3-year-old niece, you know, you'll say the word stupid and she'll be like, "Oh, that's a mean word."
No, it's not.
Well, for her it is, you know, in her worldview, in her
Yeah.
upbringing.
Yeah.
So she's 3, like the word stupid is really harsh for her. You have people in their 20s and 30s who like can't handle certain words.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Are you 3 years old? Like, can you like? Yeah.
No, let's make let's differentiate between just saying the word
and calling.
and then watching someone call another person that. That's
Yeah.
disgusting, you know. But to
Yeah.
just hear the word, like get over your like grow up.
Yeah, there is, like intention has to be an awful lot of it, you know, like if I walk up to a black person and I say you're a fucking nigger, like that's gotta be way out of line, and
Yeah, right.
yeah, but I don't necessarily think that if somebody does that, that physical violence should be foisted upon them for any reason. And that's sort of the thing that like I think I think words have to be less important than physical violence. Just like wholesale doesn't matter, like unless you've actively threatened somebody, you know, like hey, like I'm going to kill you, and and blah blah blah. That should be taken as some sort of like credible, like. But if you're just out there saying offensive things, like, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, if you're just out there spouting like kike, fucking like whatever, like, I can't even think of that many bad words to say about.
Like if you just tweet that word with no context.
Yeah, like you don't
That-
deserve to have somebody come up and physically assault for that. Like
let's say you tweet that. Oh yeah, you're right. Let's say
yeah,
you tweet that word now, like
yeah,
today.
yeah,
And then let's say 10 years from now, you get hired by Disney and you direct the 23rd Thor movie.
yeah,
And it is outrageously successful. And
yeah,
then you're about to start production on the sequel, and Disney fires you because of that one tweet from 10 years ago.
yeah.
When you tweeted the word
Yeah,
kike with no context.
yeah. Even about that, that's just like that's beyond too far. Like what I'm saying is like if you sat in a room full of black people and you just screamed nigger, I think yeah, I know, like it sounds bad to my ears, but I think morally that like if you did that and they beat you up for it, they're wrong. They're obviously wrong because all you did was say a word. Like you didn't
Yeah,
you didn't
right.
you
I
didn't
agree with that.
insult anybody. Like all you did was say a word that they didn't like. They really didn't like the word.
Right. I agree with that.
Yeah, and it's like at some point you have to stop letting words have power over you,
Right.
or else they will always have power over you for all eternity. And that's the thing. That's like racism is never going to end until white people can say nigger. Like that's
Yeah,
like
you can't. Right.
yeah, yeah. Because as long as a black person will go to arms over a word, we can't be done with racism.
Yeah.
We just can't
Right.
be. Because all it will take is one white person to say that word, and then black people get violent. And it's like, whose fault is it? everybody, every person involved in the scenario is obviously at fault. But
Yeah.
it's definitely more the fault of the person who goes to physical violence over words. As long as you're willing to go to physical violence over mere words, you're the most wrong. I think.
Whatever happened to the age-old lesson, sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me?
Yeah, right. Yeah, sticks and stones, dude. Like sticks and stones. The only thing is that like if I think you're making a credible threat, that's a different story. But if you're just trying to insult me, yeah, if you're just trying to insult me, sticks and stones, man. You're a fucking you're I don't know what you could say. Yeah, you're what the hell do they call Italian people?
Wops.
Yeah, you fucking Dago wop, you greasy.
Yeah, right. Dago's wops.
You greasy fucking wop, you fucking you salami eating. Yeah, who the hell?
Right.
Yeah,
go lay in your bed of salamis, you wop.
Go lay some bricks, you fucking you manual laboring piece of shit. Like
Yeah. Yeah, right. Don't you have some labor to do?
Go lay some fucking bricks, you salami eating, you pepperoni motherfucker. Yeah, like who the fuck cares? Like, or fucking the Polish are probably the best at just taking shit. Like,
yeah.
like Polak is actually the Polish word for a person who's from Poland, and it's still like it's considered in English to be like a slur towards Polish people.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Watch out for George. He's a Polak.
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean by that? You know what I mean.
Yeah, that fucking pierogi eating Polak, fucking sauerkraut and potatoes, motherfucker.
Oh, he puts his thumb up his ass for no reason.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Polish people, they just don't give a shit. Like they're all about it. They make fun of themselves. Like there's nobody that makes fun of Polacks more than Polish people.
Yeah. Yeah, and when you go like the older generation, like my grandfather's generation, when he's like with his buddies, they all just shred each other's nationalities.
Oh yeah.
Like that's all they do.
Yeah.
Their ethnicity, what side of town they're from. George is a fucking idiot. He's from the west side.
Yeah.
He's not from the righteous and noble east side. They're not. They've been playing poker with each other for 40 years.
Yeah. As if they're different people at that point. Like, yeah.
And every week for 40 years, they're like, "Oh, George is a Polak. He doesn't wipe his ass.
Yeah.
He doesn't wipe his ass after he's done shitting. Watch out for George." They don't mean that about George, and George knows that.
Yeah. That's how you show respect towards somebody. It's like is making fun of them for something that isn't true about them. It's like,
and I'm not saying like things should be that day, but let's hold that as the extreme where
everybody
through the generation of the 40s through the 60s, that's just how they interact with each other. Oh, there's my neighbor so and so. They're a Jewish family. Don't go over there on Saturdays.
Yeah. Don't leave your wallet out or something like that.
But then we're kind of like on the other end now. Yeah. Where don't say anything about anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. He fresh.
Further, don't think anything about anyone.
Yeah.
And back in my between these two extremes, a transition occurred where people were instructed with the lesson, sticks and stones can break your bones, but words can never hurt you, to words have power.
Yeah.
Someone can speak to you and it causes harm.
Yeah.
And it really is a shift. I think I just realized it maybe a month ago.
It's a social shift. Yeah, like
where young people these days aren't told that. They're not told, hey, just ignore it.
Yeah.
They're told to know, soak it in, be offended,
Yeah.
and then unleash your rage.
Yeah.
No, let it go. You're gonna die early. Just let it go.
Yeah. 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 You don't need to be offended by such things.
You have to get over it. Because if you're not instructed on how to cope with that, someone making fun of you, calling you fat, calling you short, calling you bald, you're setting yourself up for a really rough life. Yeah. And a short one.
Yeah.
Sometimes I talk a lot of shit on my parents, but just reflecting on things they told me and things they made me do when I was a kid that really kind of shaped what I would become. You know, when I was a kid, I was playing baseball and things weren't going how I envisioned, so I wanted to quit. And my mom's like, you're not quitting. When the season's over, you don't have to play next year, but you're not quitting this year.
That's good. That's a good thing.
So, as a kid, you're in this adverse situation, and my mom's telling me, no, you're going to stick this out. You're gonna learn how to deal with this adversity.
Yep.
You decided to play, and you're gonna play. You're gonna see it through.
Yeah.
Things aren't gonna be perfect all the time.
Yeah.
So just reflecting on things like that, and getting trouble at school. Oh, Jack, why'd you do that? Oh, this person said this about me. Well, why'd you even respond?
Yeah.
Not telling me, oh, you should be pissed about that. And then suing the school.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, so reflecting on those experiences and then looking at what my life is now, where I get, threatened by the BWC, threatened by the state of Ohio.
Yeah.
Not threatened, but if they want you to do an audit or something, they send you nasty letters. Oh, if you don't comply, we're going to shut down your business. Dealing with consumer groups, dealing with the state of Ohio, dealing with homeowners, getting threatened with lawsuits all the time, talking to customers that are complaining. If I wasn't raised with those lessons, I'd just be a fucking pussy. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like, no one's gonna bail you out. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
no one's gonna bail you out.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Like,
you gotta know when you're right and you gotta know when you're wrong, and you gotta know how to handle yourself in both situations.
Like, oh, this guy, he's threatened me with a lawsuit, but he's a vagina. Nothing's gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. You have to know that stuff.
and not to use vagina as a derogatory term, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. Jack, this happened to me like 2 nights ago. I've been covering 2 pads since I got back because somebody quit while I was at annual training, so like things have been kind of rough for us. So I've been kind of covering 2 pads since we got back. And we had a delivery. Oh, it was Thursday, and I had talked to the warehouse guy. It was like, hey, it was like we're having a shortage of this one chemical or something. Just like, hey, what's the situation on this chemical? Like, is anything coming out today? Like, he's like, yeah, no, we're still in a holding pattern as far as I know. And it's like, okay, well, whatever. I let one of our guys go home early because he was supposed to go out to another pad, like that's in the middle of the state. And so I'm like, get the fuck out of here, go home, fucking see your family, and do whatever you want to do before you got to go out there tomorrow. And and I thought I was gonna have an early day, so I took Katrina out shopping for my cousin's wedding this weekend. And I'm halfway, like I'm about 30 minutes out from my house, and the warehouse guy calls me. He's like, "Hey, we have a third party driver, who's kind of at the site, but he can't get up the hill." And so I'm like, "Okay, first off, why is this the first time I'm hearing about this new driver? Second off, what the fuck hill is he talking about? There's no hill that he shouldn't be able to get up." So I'm like, okay, I'll be there in like an hour. So I have to fucking turn around, come back, and go out site and try to find this guy. And I get out there, and I'm like, I haven't seen anybody, because getting up to the pad there is kind of a hill that but literally everybody else makes it up and down this hill, and there wasn't anything stopped along the way. So I'm like, well, where the fuck is this guy? Turns out he tried to come a back way to the pad that's basically like a quad trail. It's not even like a road, but it's listed as a road on Google Maps. But it's demonstrably there's signs all over it that says like fucking road closed, do not enter, all this shit. This stupid idiot with the tractor trailer tried to drive up this fucking quad trail, and he got stuck. And
wow.
I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? He dropped a pin on Google Maps so that I could actually find where he was at. And I drove down this thing in my work truck, and and the whole time I'm driving down the street, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I hope he's not actually down here and he made a mistake or something like that. Then I found him, and he's jackknifed like a motherfucker, and all of his back wheels on the trailer are just off the road, and his tractor has dug a hole with the wheels that were trying to get him out of this situation.
Wow.
He couldn't be more stuck if he tried. And and I get out of my truck, and and it doesn't have any of the markings that any of our trucks usually have. So I get out, and there's this guy, and he's fucking sweating like crazy, and he's wearing shorts and a t-shirt and sandals and white socks of all things. And I'm like, is this your truck? He's like, yeah. I'm like, who the fuck are you with? Are you with Nalco? Yeah, I'm with Nalco. How did you get here? Like, what are you even doing? Like, this isn't the right way. Like, he's like, I don't know, man. I'm from Texas. I never seen anything like this before. Like, I just follow my GPS. I'm like, ah, ah. Dude, like, we gave you directions. Like, you were supposed to follow the directions that, like, you shouldn't have been here in the first place. He's like, yeah, I know, but it's my truck and I like to follow the GPS. I'm like, well, what did you like? Like, why do you think we gave you directions? You fucking idiot! And I couldn't even deal with him. So I'm just like, okay, we'll see what we can do about it. So I go back, and it's like, yeah, like linear distance. This guy is only a mile from pad, but in order to actually get back to the main road and the fucking like get back to pad, it's like about 12 minutes. So this guy, yeah, like this guy was just like so fucked. And I go back to Pat and I talk to the people on Pat and I'm like, hey, I have a retard that tried to come up the back way. Like, is there anything we can do about him? They're like, no, we can't send anything because if we send any of our heavy equipment down that road, we're going to get in trouble. Like by the state, they're going to get in trouble. And so it's like, okay. And so I send it back to Nalco. I'm like, yeah, you have to call a tow truck and get your fucking idiot out of here. And I just left. I'm like, yeah, I'm not dealing with this at this point. Like you guys hired a third party idiot who didn't follow directions, and somebody else better come. And yeah, and they're based out of Ohio, about like 30 minutes to the west of where you are. So I'm like, yeah, you send somebody out here to come and deal with this fucking retard, because I'm not, like, this is not my job at this point. He didn't even make it to pad, so I'm not dealing with your idiot.
Wow.
Yeah. So somebody from Nalco had to come out and probably waited till midnight until a tow truck got there and drug that stupid motherfucker out from where he got himself stuck. And I don't even care. Like I came home at 3:00 and was like, I'm glad I had an early day. Somebody else can deal with that stupid motherfucker.
It really is incredible. It doesn't feel real sometimes.
Yeah, like how did you like you should have seen that you were going down the wrong road at some point. Like that road doesn't look like a road that you should be going down as a truck driver. Like, I don't know. Just like, yeah. Oh yeah, that was my favorite part at the end of it, was like when I called Jason and I was like, yeah, your driver's a fucking idiot. He got himself stuck. You need to call the tow truck to get him out of there. I'm going home, and on my way home, I'm gonna get some ice cream because fuck you. Yeah, I'm like fucking deal with it. This is you and your guys' problem. If you just would have hired good drivers in the first place, we wouldn't be dealing with this. Like, you know, like I don't care if you get fined. You guys can eat all that. Get the hell out of here. I have no idea how, like, the amount of money that must have cost them to deal with that night. Like, I probably wouldn't make that money in a year.
Wow.
To deal with the total problem that happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went home and got ice cream. That's what I did.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the daily grind. It really frustrates Dominic. He's like, I'm a smart guy, you're a smart guy. We're working hard. Why do things just change incrementally and not in leaps? And I'm like, well, we're surrounded by idiots.
Yeah, you're surrounded. You're just surrounded by
You're
it.
just surrounded by idiots. I'm sorry,
You
but
do.
that's just the case.
Yeah, you do what you can, but sometimes there's nothing you can do. That's yeah, and that was my favorite thing because I like at first I thought when I was going out there to deal with it, I was like I was going out there expecting to be there till midnight. I was just like I'm just going to be here forever dealing with this idiot, and it's like oh he didn't take the right road. It's not my problem. So I'm like yeah, fuck you. Like I'm out of here. Like wash my hands of the situation. You guys are idiots. Like fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah. It truly is incredible just how far off the average person is.
Yeah, they can be so stupid and so arrogant at the same time. It's like the, like we like I explicitly told you what you were supposed to do. You did the wrong thing, and now you're pissed off that your personal decisions led you to catastrophe.
Wow, that's profound.
It's just like how do you not like how do you not at least accept that like maybe if you'd have just done what the person who was in charge of you told you to do, that you would have been
Yeah.
okay. Like no, like you have like some sort of indignancy about the fact that you fucked up royally. It's like yeah, like I understand that you were at work 6 hours later than you expected to be, and you were just stuck. But like you did it to yourself. All you had to do was follow written directions. We printed
Yeah.
them out and gave them to you. Like all you had to do was follow them. It wasn't hard. People do it all the time. It's their whole job to follow those directions, and you just
Yeah. I mean, you're really hitting on something. You know, this is kind of like the unseen world of industry. This is something outsiders have no understanding of. Is, you know, there are positions and functions of a job where it's your responsibility to also make sure that the people around you don't fuck up.
yeah.
You know, you have to do your job, but you also have to make sure that the people around you also stay within a bandwidth. You know, you can give them instructions and they're most likely not going to follow them to a T, but you got to make sure that there's enough play in there so that when they inevitably go off the rails, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
And that's a huge source of frustration for Dominic. And it like I would love to be inside the head of that guy or some of the people around here where they get themselves in trouble and they just keep proceeding. And it just gets
until they get themselves just so fucked up that it takes an act of God to get them out of there.
Yeah. And to have no you know, for there to be no lesson learned there, no humility. There's just such a lack of humility.
Yeah, like on top of the whole thing, all you have to say for yourself is like, well, if my GPS would have just sent me the right way, this never would have happened. Like that's all you have to say for yourself. Like, God, like Christ help you.
You just want to explode. Like you just want and
in
fury. Like you fucking moron. You fucking moron. The manual's right goddamn there. We talked about how you use this. Why are you using it this way? Why'd you go that way?
Why did you do that?
You don't fucking know better. If you did, you wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't be 36 years old and listening to a guy that's 27. Like that's
Yeah,
the
right.
whole reason.
Right. Oh, yeah. When you bring that up, like you just described the whole window manufacturing department. Dominic is just turned 26, and they're all in their 50s and 60s. And they don't realize there's a reason that they're not calling the shots that this 25-year-old kid is.
Yeah, this
Like
guy.
they still live in their delusional world. Like, oh, I don't. Oh, these fucking people. Like, they don't know their asses from a hole in the wall. Hiring this 25-year-old kid when they've got me.
Oh,
I've been doing this for 25 years. Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
You've been cutting on a saw for 25 years.
It's so fucking funny. Like
It's the arrogance. Like they don't have the humility to realize that that's just what they're good for.
Yeah.
That is the scenario where they fuck up the least, so they don't move from there.
Yeah. Yeah, you haven't gotten a raise in 10 years because you haven't been good for anything else in 10 years.
And what amazes me is just the ability of these people to find, like, to discover ways to fuck up.
I know. Every day it seems like there's just like a new way that somebody figured out to fuck up, and it's just like, how'd you even do that?
Yeah, how'd you think of that? Like, I don't understand.
Like the procedure is written out for you. Like you don't even have to. Like there's never been a thing that's been asked of you that is new. Like we've already figured it out. Like all you have to do is the same thing over and over again, and you managed to find a way to break something.
Yeah. I told the HR guy the glass cutting area is really dangerous. So I told the HR guy, I said, no one's authorized to come over here. And if they do, I think that should be considered for immediate termination. And the very next day, the guy I told that to tried to use the glass cutter. Like he tried to sneak use it before I would realize. And I'm like, this fucking guy. Like, he doesn't know how to use it. And I just discussed with him that if people are using it without authorization, they may be fired. And this fucking guy's trying to use it. And, like, this is kind of like what informs my views on things. People don't realize, like, this fucking guy that I told not to use the glass cutter, if he gets hurt on that thing, that's every bit my fault.
Yeah.
Every bit.
Yeah.
I told him not to use it. Like, I told him not to use it. I told him the potential consequences of people using it without permission, and he just uses it.
Yeah.
And despite my best efforts, they would say, "Oh, you didn't cage it off." That's what they would say.
Yeah,
you needed to cage off the equipment and
So
have
that
one key. That's what they would say. Like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you, like, being in this position that we're talking about, you have to account for so many things that shouldn't be your responsibility. They just shouldn't. Like, you should be able to tell an adult, don't use the glass cutter, and that should just happen. But that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So you have to develop the ability to just have your thoughts in all places.
Yeah.
And while you're planning production, also planning on how people aren't going to murder themselves.
Yeah, that's yeah.
And so you're this is your daily reality.
No, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
you know, you're on the daily grind. And then this friggin' non-binary person is talking about their oppression and everything that triggers them, and you're just like, this fucking person. They're not doing anything. All this person does is eat and shit and sleep. That's all they're gonna do. And they think there's some kind of value and morality in that. And in the meantime, I have to make sure people aren't murdering themselves.
Yeah. Oh, this is yeah. I think within the first, like I was
all within the context of creating a non-discriminatory environment.
right, yeah.
You know, like now that's on top of my list too.
Yeah,
you know?
like God forbid my work environment discriminates against like certain types of people. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Right. It's just the arbitrary things thrown on top of all of it. Yeah. That now you're being instructed.
Yeah.
To consider.
Yeah, next person you hire, he better not be the same color as everybody else that you have on staff.
right. Yeah, and you're like, this is bullshit. Fine, this is bullshit. Fine, it's bullshit, but I guess I just have to do it.
Yeah,
I just have to do it. I just have to. So you're running product. You're making sure people don't murder each other. You're making sure it's an inclusive environment. And more stuff just keeps getting stacked on. Oh, now you have to watch how much you're polluting. Now you can't pollute at all. Oh, now your product is banned.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you. Fuck you. Do something with your life. Do something.
Get the fuck out of here.
Quit reading books on lesbian transgender dance and do something.
Yeah. Start being useful.
Get a fucking job. Learn a skill. Go to trade school. Get your hands dirty. Bleed.
For a second.
My blood is all over the equipment and the product. And that is what these people call privilege.
Yeah.
Fuck these people. Fuck that truck driver.
Fuck that truck driver.
Fuck the people that get triggered by Doom Eternal. Like,
yeah.
Bleed for something.
Bleed
you know, your blood isn't on elevating the relative status of others in our society and culture. Your blood isn't on that. If your blood isn't on it, then you don't fucking care about it.
Yeah.
So quit being an asshole.
Yeah. When was the last time you marched until your feet bled?
Yeah, bleed.
For the freedom of your fucking society.
Where is your blood?
Yeah.
In your body, you pussy.
Yeah.
Sorry for going on such a rant, but geez.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ, these people.
Yeah, it's so annoying. Like, how do you even justify your existence? Like, let alone demand.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
Demand that somebody pay for, like, that somebody pay for subsistence for you.
Right. Oh, yeah. That's exactly it. All I do is eat and shit and sleep.
Yeah.
And consume.
Yeah.
And I order you to steal that guy's money so I can continue to do that. You fucking pussy.
Yeah.
Oh, and the reason is I don't go to work because I have high anxiety.
Yeah. I have anxiety. And so like
it makes me anxious to work, so I'm just a creature that eats and shits and stays home and watches Netflix.
I'm anxious every fucking day I go to work. Because I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna face when I go to work. Like I wake up with like, what the fucking mystery bullshit is gonna happen to me today? Like, that's what happens to me. Like and some days and like some days I feel bad because I didn't actually work at all that day, but like then it really makes up for it when I'm there for 12 hours a day dealing with the stupidest thing that I've seen yet. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of days. Like it just like it boggles my mind how often that things get stupider and stupider. It's just like
And it's gonna keep happening.
yeah, it just keeps happening. And then and that's the thing. Like I could like, and that that's at least how I know that I need my job, or that somebody needs me to do this job because I get like as it stands right now, I get paid an awful lot for doing nothing, but then I get paid very little for doing a fucking awful lot,
Yeah.
and that's like
Yeah. Oh.
hello?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was weird.
I pushed a button and something happened. Yeah. Yeah, so that's like yeah, that's like they're two halves of the same coin basically. It's like
Yeah.
yeah, either I get paid a lot to do nothing or I get paid nothing to do an awful lot.
Yeah.
It
It's
definitely
just the grind.
yeah.
It's industry.
Yeah, it is industry.
And then and then there's just fucking pussies who philosophize about stuff and get triggered.
Yeah. You can't
Nothing better to do. So you're out there working all day, dealing with idiots, and all you want to do is play Doom for an hour. And you can't even do that because there's fucking pussies in the world.
yeah. Or maybe all I want to do is come home and play Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball.
Right. That's all you want to do. You're like, oh man, I've been working with these ugly dudes all day.
Yeah.
I just want to see hypersexualized.
Yeah, totally unrealistic anime tits flopping around.
Yeah, shiny polygons.
Yeah, all I want to do is see that, and it's like, oh, because of some like totally unfuckable SJW bitches.
Right. That's the thing.
I don't even get to play my stupid game. It's like,
right.
thank God. Like, well, you know what that makes me want to do? That makes me want to totally change my outlook on life and go out and have sex with these total like unfuckables. Like I just want to go out and have sex with these women that demand that men cuck themselves 100% to these women who just like totally undesirable. It's like why would I want you? You have like you have no tits, no ass, no intelligence, and no relevant opinion on anything. And that's like, and you're just a salty, crotchety ass female, and you're pissed that no male has any interest in you. That's your problem with life.
So you create this fantasy where all men are rapists.
Yeah.
And somehow you're a target or a victim.
Yeah.
Or a participant in this Me Too movement.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, a guy touched me once.
Yeah.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Oh yeah, that's the best thing is now there's a thing called Mike Pence syndrome where men will refuse to so women now are having a harder time advancing in their professional career because men will not go out on like professional dinners or professional lunches or anything like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like because like the whole Mike Pence thing, where he said like I'm never going out in public with a woman who isn't my wife, like and it's like everybody made fun of him for that because it's like he can't control himself or whatever. No,
Yeah.
he doesn't have that policy because he can't control himself. He has that policy because women can't help themselves from, accusing him of sexual fucking assault.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. And it's like, yeah, like this whole Me Too movement has just like caused everybody to say like I can't be caught in public with a female colleague, or like lest she criticize me for sexual assault. And that's the thing is like, it's hurting women's careers because now nobody's inviting women on these these like relatively intimate things where like people get together and they discuss the future of business, and they're like, well, we're not going to invite a woman because like if we invite her and it turns out she's not good for business, she could just turn around and claim sexual assault and force her way
Yeah.
right in anyway. So it's
That's
like,
true.
like might as well deal with all men where we can all be honest with each other. It's like, yeah, that guy was a fucking retard. Get him the fuck out of here. Like it's like, yeah, no, you can't judge women equally to men, because if you do, if you judge them poorly, you must be a misogynist, and there we have
Yeah.
grounds to sue you. It's like, what the fuck's going on?
And, it goes back to what we were talking about, just the hypocrisy of it.
Yeah.
All of these women who it's coming out, these sexual crimes that aren't getting nearly the attention that a person like Mike Pence would probably get, or whoever it may be. Where the person of the founder of the Me Too movement, we were reading an article about her, Anthony Bourdain's wife.
Yeah, I remember that.
She had to settle with a 17-year-old boy that was claiming
sexual
sexual
harassment.
misconduct. And then there's a female YouTuber who openly talked about a relationship she has with a 13-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Like none of these things are getting huge attention. So it goes along with the hypocrisy we were talking about earlier. I mean, I definitely understand it. When I have to interact with a female in a professional capacity, I always try to keep it as short and as professional as possible.
Yeah.
They just don't they don't realize because of this current if you are an individual that has something to lose, let a male executive, for example, they don't realize just how much is at stake and how much of a risk it is now to have a lunch with a female colleague.
Yeah.
Like that's a risk. That's now a risk, a career risk.
Yeah.
But I guess this is the world they want,
No, it's not the world they want. But
it's not the world they want, but it's the world that it's the world that's forming as a result of their. But again, I just don't understand why the same. Well, I know why, but the same criticism isn't put towards female offenders.
Yeah.
You know, the narrative must be upheld that females don't commit sexual assault, nor rather the victims of it. It's just fucked.
Yeah, it really is.
And again, they're just stupid. Like, you don't realize, you know, you could just say, oh yeah, that guy, he touched me. Now he's got to lose his job. Like, how easy of a path that is. All you have to do is make this accusation and that guy's gone.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah, and you know, and here's the thing, like, isn't that evidence that we don't live in some sort of like patriarchal fucking women abusing society?
No, I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I think it in fact supports that we live in a society that values equal treatment.
Yeah.
Of all people.
All you have to do is say, "Oh, he abused me," and then like that guy's career is just fucking ruined.
I mean, if we truly lived in a patriarchy, what incentive would this patriarchy have to even masquerade equality? You know, as half-assedly as these women claim we do, or these oppressed groups claim that we do. You know, they have a belief that things aren't equal, that there's discrimination that occurs, and that the patriarchy molds a society for men and empowers men. What incentive does this shadow group have to even create this facade? You know, why not just be overtly oppressive?
Yeah, right.
If they indeed have all the power, and it's not going anywhere unless given. You know what I mean? If there truly is a patriarchy that has unyielding power,
amazing art. Would you like to
not just be overtly oppressive?
Yeah, yeah. That's the other thing. That's the other thing that I always thought. There's a quote, and I can't remember what it has regards to, but it's you know, it's one of those things where I think the quote is when you enslave us, we will ask for freedom because it's in line with your morals. Like when you're in power, we will ask you to free us because it's in line with your morality. But when we're in power, we will enslave you because that's in line with our morality. It's like I don't exactly remember what that like is it like pertains to. Like it might have something to do with Islam, but here like
as soon as the word "pay," that's kind of my litmus test these days. If someone unironically drops the word patriarchy,
color as a way to fix racism.
I know exactly what I mean.
what video is this?
Have you ever wondered why people...
Oh yeah, hey. So I'm gonna share this. This is particularly hilarious.
People say, "Oh, I don't see color." Have you ever wondered why people say, "Oh, I don't see color" as a way to fix racism? Yeah, that doesn't work.
Yeah, right. So here we go with I don't know if you know this woman or not.
No.
So this is Francesca Ramsey, and she's employed by MTV, and her whole job is to just talk about race. So of course, uh, like her job would be in dire like she wouldn't have a job if racism didn't exist. So of course, racism always has to be a problem with her. But this is an exceptionally like interesting thing because she's talking about color blindness, and as far as I'm concerned, color blindness is definitely the answer to racism.
Yeah.
In the way that right, yeah, so do you know anybody who's left-handed?
Yeah, my mom.
Yeah, so you can imagine that back in the the early 1900s that your mom might have been discriminated against, and they would have thought that she was the tool of the devil, for
Yeah.
for using her left hand right by or something like that. But because nobody gives a shit about left-handedness, uh, nobody's discriminating against left-handed people, despite the fact that it's an immutable characteristic about an individual.
Yeah.
The only way to really get rid of left-handed discrimination is to just ignore the fact that people are left-handed in the first place, and just not give a shit about that. And that's that's kind of the idea behind color blindness, is that well, we can just we can get rid of racism if everybody would just judge people by their actions and not by the color of their skin. And yeah, and that's the idea. And and I've heard I've actually heard people tell me that no, color blindness is proven to not work, and we need to focus on race in order to get rid of racism. I'm logically, fucking how are we going to get rid of racism by focusing on race? That just logically, the end state of we don't want there to be any racism anymore. Okay, so end state, no more racism. How do we what would a world look like? Well, a world that's not racist would just judge people on an individual basis and not really take into account their race about stuff. That's fundamentally the definition of anti-racism, is color blindness. To me, that seems like the logical conclusion of that. But this woman is going to go on to explain how the fundamentally anti-racist solution to racism is totally fucking wrong. And of course she would think this way because her whole job depends on people continuing to be racist. Otherwise, she wouldn't even have a fucking job. Here we go.
On this show, we talk about race all the time, but I've got a bomb to drop. Biologically speaking, race doesn't exist. Oh my!
Right. Okay, so race doesn't exist. And I think she goes on to talk about this a lot, about how race is a social construct. But
okay,
race exists in such a way that that you can determine somebody's race by their cranial structure.
Fascinating.
To a certain degree, sickle cell anemia is a racial indicator, to some degree. There are various biological indicators of race. That's why people who are born in China don't randomly turn out black. Two Chinese parents don't randomly have black kids. So race is kind of a biological thing.
Well, that seems like a good point.
yeah. So yeah, let's see.
Goodness, we've all been lied to. Wait, why am I hosting this show? So race isn't biological, but the social construct of race and racism still have a very real impact on everyone's lives. And this isn't just about feelings. Race
So
is
pause it for a minute.
Yeah, what do you got?
I mean, so given what you just said, what I've kind of observed from people like this is, in order to prove their points, they redefine science.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, we could continue.
Yeah, yeah.
So she, in order to make her argument, she's informing the viewer that the science in place is not actually true, without providing any evidence of it. She just makes the claim: race is not biological. Given that, here's what I have to say.
Yeah. Even though,
I mean, you picked out some pretty easy examples of why it is, juxtaposed against her nothing.
Yeah. Like, well, why don't we just like coincidentally look alike? If we're just Oh, like okay.
foundation of social power. So why?
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, the structural foundation of social power. Yeah. It just so happens that structural foundation of social power coincides with what she obviously, they're just random characteristics that don't have anything to do with like biological heritage or like environmental determinism or anything like that. Like no, these are just all like I don't even see how in her worldview how anybody gains power over anybody else. Like I don't see in her worldview how this happens.
I think these people view power itself as a construct. Well, we could talk about that later, but I think that they believe that human beings naturally coexist among each other without creating conflict, and that conflict itself is learned.
Yeah.
And maybe they would go so far to say as, like, it's kind of like that one movie where lying doesn't exist, and then the one guy realizes he could just lie and totally exploits the system. So in her worldview, white males realized that by creating this notion of power, they're exploiting the natural condition of humanity. So I don't know if that's related at all, but
no, yeah, I see what you're saying.
That's kind of what I've observed as well, is these people believe that the things about our world, if we all just jointly believe them, wouldn't have to exist any longer.
Yeah. Right, yeah. I mean that's by definition totalitarianism.
Yeah, I agree with you. These people are fascists. I agree. We've already established that.
Right, yeah. Like your worldview is totalitarian. So
I just like people that watch this and buy into it. I just don't think are very intelligent.
No, yeah.
I mean, just as on a personal note.
Race is biological. Well, beyond the fact that we like to group people based on external characteristics, it goes like this. In biology, there is a concept of genetically different subspecies, which a lot of people confuse with human races. Biologists actually have a scale for this, and humans don't even come close to qualifying. Throughout history, people have used this.
Time out.
What?
Who beyond Charles Darwin is calling, Asian people or white people or black people human subspecies?
Well, the white supremacists, obviously, which they do exist.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, all right. So a fringe group.
Yeah, a fringe group. Yeah.
So she's addressing a fringe group right now.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
95% of all humans this doesn't apply to. This next minute or so.
Species to justify all kinds of terribleness and even proclaim other races as less than human. But modern genetics has shown that the lines around race are so arbitrary that they're actually meaningless. And since I'm not a scientist, I'll take a quote. Francis Collins, the director of the National Human Genome Research Institute, said it himself. Those who wish to draw precise racial boundaries around certain groups will not be able to use science as a legitimate justification. Oop.
Right. So about that, yeah, you can't draw precise racial boundaries, but you can draw abstract racial boundaries. So, like, yeah, we can't just draw a line to cut off the like that, like this is where white people are and this is where black people are. But we can draw like a general line and say like it if your skin is this dark and your your cranium, it like measures this wide and your fucking sickle cells are this way, like like there are biological indicators that like fucking like there's a reason that Katrina and I aren't going to have a black fucking kid. Like it's
right.
And that's like that is
it's not in your genetics.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's biologically determined that like our kid is not going to be black, so I mean, like, not that even has to
well,
be.
It seems like obviously this video is for teenagers.
Yeah.
So they're not gonna question too rigorously what she's saying. But to take one quote from the director of the Human Genome Project and use that as the basis of her argument without citing any of his other work.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems fairly obvious differences in human beings are probably the result of their evolutionary path. Like, humans that evolved on the African continent are probably different than humans that the differences among them are because of their environmental conditions.
Yeah.
Relative to humans that evolved on the European continent.
Yeah.
Like that seems fairly obvious.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we're all human. But yeah. I mean, if I were to have sex with a black person and we were to have a kid, our genetics would be intertwined.
Yeah.
But you're right. If I were to have sex with another white person and have a kid, I mean, I think we'd all be shocked.
Yeah, if
it was a black person or Asian, and if I didn't have sex with
exactly. Yeah, if two black people had sex and it turned out Asian, like
if they had an Asian.
Yeah, it's like okay, like so obviously biology is a factor. So
yeah, right. So we've already kind of debunked her.
So if race doesn't exist biologically, why do we keep talking about it? Sound the alarm!
All right. Pause it again. This is more of a criticism on MTV and BuzzFeed.
Yeah.
Like very very frequently, when they express their point, they'll get kind of serious for a moment and cite, recite a quote from the director of the Human Genome Project, but then immediately afterwards go into some kind of celebration.
Yeah.
Or some kind of slip into slang or do some kind of dance move or do something like talk to the hand, like a mic drop, a version of a mic drop.
Yeah.
Like when you're trying to make an argument and be portrayed as credible, why are you gesticulating all over the place?
Yeah.
Say your piece and be done with it. This should be a 4-minute video, but we have 90 seconds of her dancing and celebrating her point.
Yeah,
sorry.
I think it's their version of poisoning the well.
that's like there is no color, or
Yeah.
we should see color. Mic drop. Oh, gotcha. Like
Us. That's right. Race is a social construct. A social construct is a category, perception, or idea created and developed by society and then applied to individuals or groups. But social constructs are still very real and have huge impacts on our lives. Because you know what else is a social construct? Money. And if you don't.
Yeah, right. So,
so race and money are the same thing.
yeah, right. Yeah, they're effectively the same thing. All that, like, you just think, like, literally
No, I don't know if she's going to go in this direction, but I think there's pretty clear utility in the construct of money. So just because something's a construct doesn't mean it's valueless.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean it's not real either. That's the other thing is that, like, you're absolutely
right.
Yeah, like it's not real. Like that doesn't mean it's not real, and doesn't mean it's not valueless, and it's not. It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that it's wrong either.
This is actually a far deeper video than we originally anticipated. She's bringing up, along her introducing the concept of race being a social construct, she's also planting the scenes for money itself.
Yeah. Right.
So
yeah.
she's
just because something
propagandizing and manipulating this young viewer into believing one thing, but also laying the foundation for, our economy and our way of life is also bullshit too.
Yeah. Well, just because something's a social construct doesn't mean it's wrong in any way.
Right.
Yeah.
Listen, teenager. You can use this unit of transaction to buy food and haircuts without having to have, trade pelts or something.
Yeah.
You should be grateful for that. If you need medical assistance, you can pay for it.
Yeah.
You don't have to, barter your services. Yeah, that's basically the point. Like, just because it's a construct doesn't mean it's bad or unuseful.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, then congratulations. You either have a trust fund or you're an adorable baby. Or maybe you're a dog. Here's what I know. And society and then applied to individuals or groups. But social constructs are still very real and have huge impacts on our lives. Because you know what else is a social construct? Money. And if you don't think money has an enormous impact on your life, well, then congratulations. You either have a trust fund or you're an adorable baby. Or maybe you're a dog. Here's what I know. Talking about racism just creates more racism. No. First off, race isn't the problem. Racism is. And even if it was the problem, problems don't get worse when you talk about them, and they don't magically go away when you ignore them.
Right. So here's the whole thing is race isn't the problem. Racism is the problem. And the fundamental thing about racism is that racists overwhelmingly focus on race above anything else. In fact, you might characterize a person who ignores other factors and just focuses on race as a racist. In fact, that's how I would characterize a person, is that, like, you've ignored other factors in a person's life and all you've done is focus on their race. Now, I would say that, like, you as an individual are racist for not considering anything else except somebody's race.
I think I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Making race a primary consideration is good evidence that one is a racist.
Yeah. And so how in any way is color blindness. You know, like something where you deliberately try to actively not focus on race and judge individuals by their individual characteristics that don't have anything to do with race. Like, how is that a racist thing? Like, if it, like, again, it seems to me like that's the solution to racism. Like, where
Yeah.
like even if you're like, okay, so like black people make up 12% of the population, but you know they only have 12%, like 6% of the jobs or something like that. So it's like we have to actively discriminate against white people in order to get black people the proportionate amount of jobs. It's like that's racism, but
Yeah.
works, you know, it works for a minority instead of for a majority. It's still fucking racism. Like you're
And
being
one thing one thing I don't understand is every time we have a discussion like this, why do people, you know, go into what you just said, oh, black people are 12% of the population, 6% of the workforce. I know that's just an example you created.
yeah,
So
I know. Yeah,
let's just use that as an example. Someone on the left will look at that and say, oh, there's discrimination at play. I don't understand why there's not ever a discussion on why that's the case. Why it's always jumped on the, oh, there must be discrimination at work. Why isn't there ever a discussion on,
well,
you know,
if you ask that sort of question, you're definitely a racist.
I understand how that's that's how it's construed, but I don't think you're addressing the issue in a healthy way by ignoring probably the more likely reasons as to why that's the case.
Well, what are you even talking about at that?
Because as I often bring out, it's illegal to discriminate based on race.
Yeah.
So I think it's more reasonable to assume if the number of black people in the workforce, for example, isn't proportional to the number of black people in the population, I think it's more reasonable to assume that discrimination is not at work, given that that's illegal to do. So I think it would be more beneficial to focus on why there isn't proportional representation rather than just jumping on the issue of race and discrimination.
Well, Jack, that sounds like victim blaming to me.
I'm not blaming anyone. You know, these people are asserting that's a problem. You know what I mean? They're the ones asserting,
so you're saying that you don't take their individual experience seriously?
I don't take their individual experience seriously. I guess if we're talking about
I'm just messing with you, Jack.
Groups in general, I guess, yeah, that's correct. I'm not considering the individual person. I mean, yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, that's often brought up as a counter. Oh, you don't know what it's like to be a black person, having the legacy of being a slave, and also receiving no reparations after the Civil War. I mean, that's basically what's brought up to counter what I just said. You can,
Yeah.
you know, to further your point, you can't hold black people to the same standard as others because of their history.
Yeah, and that's kind of weird because I've never like I've met people who have struggled extraordinarily financially, but they're also like idiots. It's
Right.
like, yeah, it's like, well, like, yeah, I understand that you work extraordinarily hard, but I wouldn't trust you, you know, without somebody looking over your shoulder. Like, I wouldn't trust you to count to 10 times a day without somebody looking over your shoulder and making sure you counted on each individual finger. Like, so,
Yeah.
you know, like, I don't feel sorry for you that you're poor, despite how hard and how many hours you work, because it's like, well, like, if you were worth more, somebody wouldn't have to fucking watch you to make sure that you did your job.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like
That. Yeah. That. Yeah. We're kind of taking that example. I definitely understand what you're saying, and I guess along my point is, you know, the issue isn't how much that person's making. The person that's bad with money that never seems to have it. The issue is obviously their money habits.
yeah.
So it doesn't, you know, we're not going to help them by giving them more money.
Yeah, like giving them an amount of money. Yeah, and that's the thing that like that I argue all the time is like, okay, the families that would have benefited from reparations if it were given out immediately, it wouldn't matter if they were given the reparations immediately or never given the reparations at all. They would probably end up in the same financial situation because genetically, like throughout family lineage, you end up in an economic bracket that is appropriate to your you know, contribution to society in a free market. And so, you know, like people who in the 60s, like, you know, like if you grew up in a wealthy family in the 60s, but your family was dumb as shit, and you grew up like and you were wealthy because of some weird means or something like that, you ended up poor by the time like your children grew up because
Yeah.
you didn't know how to manage your wealth and you just lost the damn thing. It's like that's like in the United States, that's how things work. Is if you're not capable of manage, like, you end up where you're supposed to be because of your personal ability to manage your finances and make good decisions.
Oh, absolutely.
That's
I'm an advocate of that.
yeah, yeah. That's
To
where
your
you.
point, it makes me sound like a racist.
Yeah,
A belief in personal accountability in 2018 makes you a racist.
yeah, and that's part of the problem is that
But
like
it's contextual. You know, if there are things about a white person beyond their control that influence their behavior, and as a result they're worse off, well then that person is just fucked because there's no excuse for it. I mean, after all, they're white.
yeah, they should have had all the opportunity.
What excuse do they have? They should carry the full burden of their personal choices.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, a belief in personal accountability is viewed as bigotry these days. I don't really see that as justice. Denying personal accountability.
No,
I think justice is holding a person accountable for their actions.
yeah,
So I believe a better way to address this issue when it comes to discrepancies in population totals and participation rates. All right, how about we talk about increasing mentorship programs? How about we talk about improving education among Black and poor communities? Um, you know, the true way to escape these situations is through education. Why don't we talk about that rather than just assuming that everything is racially motivated?
Yeah. Yeah, or why don't we talk about the factors that the things that Black people themselves can change about their own.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, like
And so,
there's nothing about society that's out there sitting. Like it's not like white people are sitting around saying like, how can we make Asians the top earners in our countries? Yeah, like
we gotta cover our tracks. All right, Asians are gonna be the top earners.
yeah, it's
But
not like white people are sitting out there conspiring to make Asians the top earners. No, the Asians have sat there and they've decided like, oh, this is what it takes to be successful in modern society, and we're gonna do the shit out of that, and they just do it, and so they're fucking successful.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this actually happened to me where I was talking to my friend and I said, you know, if indeed white privilege exists, if other groups want this alleged privilege, they probably should do the things white people do. For example, leave wealth to their children or
Yeah.
leave something to their children.
Yeah.
And that's when that person countered me with black people were slaves and received no reparations.
Yeah, that was 150 years ago.
So because they didn't have an economic start, because don't you know everyone just was granted by God except black people economic starts?
Yeah, yeah.
That's kind of, you know, that's sarcasm, but
Yeah. Because my dad, he came over, and his parents, they just were given the world because they were fucking white.
well, I mean, that's the argument. European immigrants were given things which provided them an economic start, and that's why white people are better off. That's their argument. Whereas black people were stolen from their land, given nothing, and just thrown in the wilderness. And they haven't recovered to this day, you know, kind of ignoring every effort, certainly since the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, at least two
But
generations to try to.
so that's, you know, that's a direct interaction I've had where saying, you know, why don't we, you know, if you want the success of, in quotes, now, you know, put it in using their language, if you want the success of white people, it's kind of like, you know, there's that book of 7 Habits of Highly Successful People.
Yeah.
The whole concept of self-help is do the things that successful people do, and you yourself may be successful as well.
Yeah.
All right, if you believe that these groups are better off, why doesn't your particular group adopt their behaviors?
Yeah. Oh, well, that's racist to suggest that my group should have to adopt your behavior in order to be successful. Why don't you just alter your perception of what it means to be successful so that you can accept people who behave alternatively into the realm of the successful?
Well, but I mean, if you look at like using sports or physical training as an example or an analogy, like like golf for example, there's Jim Furyk. His swing is just utterly horrific, but he's a very good player and he's been a good player for a long time. But he's the exception. Overwhelmingly, the best players in the world have solid fundamentals and solid training regimens. So yeah, every so often that there's that one outlier that has this fucking horrific swing, or John Daly, for example, a guy that doesn't have an athlete's body, doesn't have an athlete's diet, doesn't have an athlete's work ethic, but he was golfed at a high level. That guy's the exception. In most cases, if you want to be successful, you have to train effectively, you have to eat effectively, etc. If you want to be successful in business, you probably should get up early. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's that tech whiz that gets up at 12:30, that invented the killer app. But overwhelmingly, like, you gotta get up early. You know what I mean? Like, that's just what you have to do. If you're an exceptional individual and you can bypass the process, that's fine. But so applying that to, okay, if you want to transmit wealth to future generations, you probably have to start now. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
I mean, in my view, that's kind of where the discussion needs to go. and it's kind of related to the discussion we were having earlier about, the N-word.
Yeah.
Where that's just an acceptable word among the. It's a word that has its origins in subjugation, and they believe by using it, they're taking it back or whatever. You probably should stop using it. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to free yourselves, your mind, your communities, quit using this word of subjugation. If you want to free the individuals, families, and communities, value the things that get you out of that hole. And we've already kind of mentioned them.
Yeah, Kanye West hit it on the head.
Yeah, I mean, that's where to me, that's more reasonable than just saying everyone's racist and black people were slaves. I mean, every ethnic group has been slaves at one point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah.
The other ethnic groups have managed to...
Name me somebody who's never been a slave.
Yeah, so in our country, though, the black community just gets this exemption. Oh, go, 160 years ago, well, they were slaves. Okay.
And so now we don't have to, acclimatize to any particular culture. We don't have to learn any particular way of speaking. We don't have to,
Right.
We don't have to behave any particular type of way. We were slaves, therefore we could do whatever the fuck we want. Get the fuck out of here.
Right. I mean, I'm not an expert by any means, but a lot of the behaviors of the African American community originate in rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're going to invent a language to rebel against white society. We're going to name ourselves in unorthodox ways as a rebellious act. I mean, that's fine, but
yeah,
if you fill out an application for a job in the English language is butchered, that's not going to look good. Someone hiring is going to see that, and they're not going to trust you with work. At some point you have to get over I'm not saying play by the rules. I don't want to be that guy. Oh, you have to speak English. I mean, you should.
Right? Yeah. Like,
But-
yeah. I mean, like, if your name is like Pu Shangyu and you're applying for a job in the United States and you change your name to fucking like, like Paul Lee or something like that.
Yeah, and I'm not saying people should have to do that, but if they're filling out an application, it probably should be written well
Yeah.
and neatly.
Yeah. Yeah.
An
First off,
individual probably should. I mean, it's just etiquette to show up to a job interview wearing appropriate attire. I mean, whether we like it or not, the impressions shape your perception of the individual.
yeah.
If the person looks like they don't care, that's
Yeah.
going to frame how you envision them doing that job. So,
Yeah. As much as I hate it, like when I go to a job interview,
like, I don't want to be that guy. But whether I agree with what this woman is saying or not, she's very eloquent.
yeah, there's no way she's ever been. Yeah, her name's Francesca Ramsey, and she speaks very eloquently. There's no way she's ever been denied by any like means.
Right, right, right. And we're at least willing to give her a fair shake because she's communicating well.
Yeah.
But if she was saying the same things, but we couldn't understand her at all.
Yeah, if her name was like Hakeem Abubadu, and she came up to you, like saying like yeah, it's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right. So, I mean, she speaks well. She could I mean, obviously, she could go somewhere and get a job.
Yeah,
It seems like a pretty straightforward process. Like, and you know what? Everyone, like, the thing about it is everyone compromises something about their identity for the sake of participating in the workforce.
yeah. I cut my hair to participate in
Yeah.
the
People cut their hair, they shave, they wear uncomfortable clothing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
they might be having
yeah, it
they
seems
might
like
be having a bad day, but they have a good attitude with customers over the phone.
yeah,
Like,
it seems like women get the free pass 90% of the time on like what they can and can't do in the workplace. It's like if you're a man in the workplace, you got to wear a fucking suit and you got to shave and you got to cut your hair. But like women,
yeah, for the most part.
yeah, women they can pretty much do whatever they want as long as they don't look like they just got out of bed. Like that's all you have to do as a woman is look like you didn't just get out of bed.
I mean, most of the people I interact with on a daily basis are dudes and Amish people, so
Yeah, and that's in the like the labor force, but like if you're talking about like in the white collar workforce, like
yeah.
men have to like look at what's on the screen right now. It's two guys in fucking like like navy short like or navy fucking
Yeah.
navy fucking pants and like relatively calm colored shirts with a tie, and they both have like very respectable haircuts. They both like have a shaven face. Their tie is tied neatly. Like all they have nice shoes. Like all like
Yeah.
that's how all men, regardless of anything, are expected to behave in the white collar workforce.
If they have any tattoos, they're covered.
Yeah, they cover. Yeah,
Like those two guys are compromising things about themselves.
yeah, they cover 90% of their skin. Like they are not expressing themselves in any minute detail. And and Francesca Ramsey could show up in whatever she's wearing right now in a professional environment, and that would look professional on a female. But if a guy would wear something like that, that would just be like That would be horrendous, and everybody like,
yeah, sleeveless shirt.
yeah,
If a guy wore a sleeveless shirt in a professional setting, yeah.
yeah, like what are you thinking, you idiot? Like that's not professional at all. No, but
Yeah.
women in professional settings get to wear whatever the fuck they want, and like as long as it's not like fucking Walmart slovenly, like they like it's just totally fine.
Yeah. So there's a sense of professionalism in the workforce. You kind of have to abide by it, you know, unless if you're some kind of savant where
Yeah,
people just buy your ideas regardless of how you present yourself.
yeah,
There is a level of compromise. So, yeah, I mean, the point's kind of made, like, there's probably other reasons that don't have anything to do with racism.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it would we'd probably be better serving the African American community by addressing those reasons rather than just calling all white people racist.
Yeah. Right, but if you make a living by calling all white people racist, why
That's
not?
true.
Yeah, like why not?
Right. She probably makes more money than both of us.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and she would look us right in our face and tell us we're part of the white male patriarchy and that we're the problem with society.
Absolutely, with that exact same expression.
Yeah, like she would just like look at us with disgust.
In the meantime, she makes more money than 20 hardworking white men.
Yep. Yeah, and she would look at all of those men with disgust and say, like, you guys are just privileged. Like she would with that face and just sit there and tell you that you're privileged to make the amount of money that you make at work, despite the fact she probably
with disdain and vitriol.
Yeah, just spit venom at you while she tells you you're fucking privileged to have your $18 an hour job.
Right. Right.
That's like just like that's the fucking arrogance that you have to sit there and talk down to somebody. And like based on that, like, and that's how racist you have to be. You have to be so racist that you sit there and say, like, oh, because you share the same skin color as other people, you must be so goddamn privileged.
Yeah. Yeah.
On you.
And you've kind of talked about it before, and it was related to a point I made earlier, where they've redefined the notion of racism so they can't be racist.
Yeah. Like point to me, like show me the person who discriminated against Francesca Ramsey at any point in her life. She's beautiful. She is beautiful. She looks athletic. She's educated. She doesn't even have an ethnic sounding name. Like point to me the person.
Yeah. I mean, she has on a daily basis, she has the intangible privilege of being at the very least like a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, she is like I would rather be Francesca Ramsey than an ugly fucking white man. Like
yeah, I would be willing to bet she hasn't struggled much, if at all, in her life.
There's no way. There's 10,000, there's 100,000 white people that have struggled more than she has, just by virtue of their attractiveness. Like
I mean, even like the most hardcore white supremacist would probably be attracted to her.
There's no like there's nobody on the planet that is sat there and saying that like Francesca Ramsey isn't beautiful. Like find me that guy. Find me that person that says like, oh yeah, that's an ugly person because of the color of her skin.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I don't think she has been discriminated against. Or, she has privilege.
Yeah.
Francesca Ramsey has privilege.
Yeah, she has beauty privilege, and nobody wants to talk about that because beauty privilege is a bigger privilege than racial privilege.
I would have to say it's probably the most significant privilege.
Yeah, it definitely is. I would rather it like if I had the choice.
If I had to choose an identity, if they briefed me before birth, told me everything about life in the world,
Yeah.
I would probably choose attractive white female.
Yeah.
Just in terms of the ease of existence. So I think being beautiful is among the more significant privileges one can have.
Yeah, like way above race, like way above race.
Yeah.
Like if I had to choose between being Danny DeVito and being like
Francesca Ramsey.
well let's pick at least a male like fucking Idris Elba for example.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, or Joaquin well, I like Idris Elba a little bit better. Like like I'd pick Idris Elba over a lot of people.
Yeah, Danny DeVito had to work. He had to grind.
He had to work to be a fucking actor.
He had to be a prodigy level funny.
Yeah.
To overcome being short and ugly.
Yeah.
I mean, and fat. Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah.
Danny DeVito has 3 huge knocks.
Yeah.
Short, ugly, and fat.
Yeah, he's short, ugly, and fat, and he just had to be extraordinarily funny for his shape. And
Yeah.
Idris Elba is just like a beautiful man who is pretty good at acting.
Yeah. So there are definitely tangible privileges. And maybe. Well,
yeah, I'd like to see Francesca Ramsey trade places with me for like 10 days.
Oh, I don't think she. Well, I don't think she can handle it.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think that I don't believe that she believes that white privilege is such a big thing that if she traded places with me for 10 days that she could achieve something greater than she has right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think what we're kind of talking about is. I said this to my sister the other day. We were talking about similar topics, and I said, I don't think these people could handle being a man. I don't think she could handle being a man. Like if you took her right now and put her mind and her worldview into a male body, I don't think she could handle it. I think within hours she would be crying.
Yeah, probably.
Because it's our daily experience as males, like there is no built-in excuse for us.
Yeah.
We are white males and no one gives a shit about us.
Yeah. We just have
if we succeed, it's because of our abstract privilege. If we fail, it's because we're fucking idiots. There's no one there to bail us out, and there's no one there to make excuses for us.
Yeah. There's no one there to make excuses for you. It's just, you failed. Well, you're fired now. Good luck finding a job.
Me, I am the face of a nearly $5 million organization. My face is on every product that gets shipped out of our door. And if there's if there's problems with it, or if orders are running late, I'm the first person. I'm the first person people think of and go to.
Yeah.
I don't think she. I don't think she wants my privilege.
Yeah. Yeah, and and we can like exclude all the feminism and all that stuff. Like, if you want to talk about communism on top of all of that, some people would say that you don't even deserve to be paid because you don't put any of the labor force effort into it. It's like,
Oh, I do. I make the glass, I run the business and make the glass.
on top of all the stuff that you do.
Yeah, right. I don't think she could handle my life.
Yeah.
Her occupation is fake. But she would call it privilege.
Yeah.
She would call my life privileged. Okay, take the average black person and give them my life. And I guarantee you, without any training, without any talent, they would fail.
Yeah.
You could take a white person and throw them into this role.
They would fail.
They would fail.
It's fucking hard. It's difficult to manage people. It is
It's
so hard to do the job of making sure that other people just do their job. All you have to do is make sure other people just do your job. It's amazing how hard that is. It is so hard to just make sure other people do what the fuck they're supposed to do.
right. So she would describe it as a privilege. I think I can do her job. I don't think she could do mine.
Yeah. Yeah, I could do her job.
Just to talk about horse shit for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
we do this all the time. Of course we could do her job.
Yeah, I could totally bitch and moan and complain about societal constructs. Like, I could do
For
that.
5.5 minutes? Are you serious?
Yeah.
To put on makeup and designer clothes and talk about fake stuff for 5.5 minutes?
Yeah, like,
and get paid obscene money to do so. That to me is the definition of privilege.
Yeah, you get to sit around and put on, like, just look good for people and complain about stuff that people like. But yeah, I guess, like, to be fair, like, Fox News does that too. Like, they sit there and dress people up in nice clothing to bitch about stuff that isn't really a problem. But
yeah, right.
There's a lot of people that have jobs like that.
Yeah, right.
Those are privileged people. You're a part of a privileged class where you get to sit around and bitch about society to people who, like, that you're clearly above them.
Oh, right, yeah. She's clearly very well off, and she could just keep the narrative going that she is a member of an oppressed class.
Yeah. Like, if she were to come and sit and talk to me or you, try to.
I mean, what she would probably say is, yes, she's done very well, but if she were a man or a white person, she would probably be doing a little bit better.
Well, how? How do you measure that? How do you explain that?
Like, let's say she makes $600,000. She'd probably say, "Oh, if I was a man, I'd be making $750."
Yeah. Well, how do you prove that?
Right. You can't. But that's what she would say. I don't think she would acknowledge that she's a beneficiary of any kind of privilege or comfort. In fact, she would probably say, "Oh, I've worked very hard to get here."
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, good for you that you
I mean, I'm sure you have, Francesca.
Yeah. You know who else has worked very hard to get to where they at? Pretty much everybody that's existed within the last 100 years.
Yeah.
They've all worked exactly as hard as they've gotten to their positions. Like, they've all worked as hard as they needed to get to where they're at. Some people work harder than others.
I don't think she's worked as hard as Danny DeVito.
Yeah, probably not.
Because she's hot.
Yeah. she's probably. Well, you know, and here's the thing: like sometimes, like the people who are hotter, like I bet you she hasn't worked as hard as Christian Bale. I mean that guy.
Yeah, right.
That guy works really hard.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
He did The Machinist, and his very next movie was Batman Begins.
Yeah.
And he had to gain he got down to like 100 pounds.
Yeah, and then he ballooned back up like 100 more, like, you know, back up to like 215 or something like that.
To like 220.
Yeah.
In a really short period of time. Yeah. She has not worked as hard as Christian Bale.
She has not. Yeah. So, you know, yeah.
Yeah. I think point well made. You know, if someone wants to be successful, they probably should study successful and put themselves in a position to be successful. And emulate successful people.
Yeah. Imagine that you're Christian Bale for a second, or you know, imagine that you're, imagine you're, like do what a successful person does. Like, don't sit around and complain. You know, like here's the thing, like
right.
They're mad. They're mad that some people didn't have to work as hard to be successful. And it's like, okay, just because some people got lucky doesn't mean you're oppressed. It means that they're fucking lucky. Like,
and there's countless successful black people who have gone on the record to say, like, you know, I pursued education, I worked hard, I have a strict regiment, and as a result, I've achieved this level of success, and I don't buy the rhetoric of the African American community.
Yeah,
and then they get ostracized.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman's probably my favorite one about that, where he like people interviewers ask him all the time about about like white privilege and and about like and he's like, yeah, no, black people aren't oppressed in today's society. All you have to do is work extraordinarily hard, and you can make something out of yourself. And it's like, and he takes great offense to the idea that like that black people are somehow held back by society. He's like no, just fucking do the work, and you and he's like, yeah, I did it myself. I grew up he grew up in the fucking 70s in the United States, and he's like, yeah, I grew up when it was the most racist. Like I worked my way through it. And it's like, yeah, just fucking keep your nose to the grindstone and keep working. Like, honestly, I don't think and it's just like, thank you, Morgan Freeman, for fucking telling the truth. Like,
yeah.
Oh
no, he's a traitor.
Yeah.
He's a traitor. He bought in.
Yeah.
The patriarchy and the whiteocracy bought him off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost getting.
I mean, what would be the point of ending slavery if the system still oppresses black people?
Yeah. Yeah, why did we sacrifice more people than have ever been lost in a war in the United States just to end slavery if we didn't want to end the oppression of black people? Like, what?
Right.
Like, are you serious? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost getting to a point where they're defining racism in such a way that I don't think that somebody who calls somebody else a racist I don't even think that's an insult anymore. Like, it's just, you know what? Like, racists are just racist. They're not even.
And I agree with I agree with what you just said. It's not really an insult anymore. It's lost its power as an insult because it's being so weirdly defined.
Yeah.
And so contextually defined. and it's usually only said to one's opponent.
Yeah.
Rather than to an actual racist.
Yeah, it's used as a way to to take away somebody else's influence on a matter. Is it like that person's racist? Like, oh, okay, well, like,
Right.
Okay, yeah, it's like character assassination at this point. It's like
yeah,
it's not an accurate characterization of a person. It's just a character assassination term. It's like, that person must be racist.
yeah. I mean, in the '60s, you could be like, "Oh, I don't think black people should go to the same schools as white people."
Yeah, that
and
person.
Yeah, rightfully, you're a racist.
Yeah, you're a fucking racist. Yeah.
In 2018, you can just say, "I think people should be held accountable for their life choices." And you are a racist.
Yeah. Right.
I think people should be financially and legally accountable for their life choices.
Yeah. Yeah, I've gotten into a lot of like online arguments about whether or not Donald Trump is racist.
And maybe he is. I don't. Who knows?
Yeah, like I'm not gonna die on that hill to say. But I've argued with people where where they've sat there like, I mean, and it's these people who are just constantly like, oh,
I would say he's no more racist than Barack Obama.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, you can't say that, but because Barack Obama was racist against white people, and that's not racist. But
I mean, Barack Obama did repeatedly present rhetoric that did, in my opinion, directly result in the assassination of police officers.
yeah, but never mind that. That was only against white people, so it doesn't matter. But
right. I would say Donald Trump is no more racist than Barack Obama.
Yeah, that's probably a decent statement to make. But I've been caught arguing with people about some people have said that Donald Trump was racist. And I'm like, look, he's not racist. He's never he's never done anything that racists do. And it's like, and they'll throw all of these CNN talking points at me, and I'm like, okay, well, if you stop taking his words out of context and you actually history, it's like, like none of that stuff that he said or did is actually racist. And they're like, well, yeah, well, do you want to debate me? And it's like, well, yeah, okay, yes, I would debate you if I, if I had time to hang out with my friends, as much as I'd like to, then yeah, I would certainly take my time out to debate your stupid ass. But then then what kind of debate are we having? Like, are we having a debate where we present facts against each other, or are you just going to sit there and call me a racist for supporting Donald Trump the whole time? It's like I don't need to have you live on air calling me racist and me trying to defend myself against accusations of racism. We're not playing that game. We need to sit down and first off decide what it means to be racist, because I think you and I have different definitions of it first off. And if we can't even decide on what it means to be racist, then why even have the debate?
Yeah.
Because, and that's the other thing, it's almost to a point where, if I had kids and, and I think about this stuff, if I had kids and they came home, telling me that, somebody told them they were racist, I would basically tell them that, like, you know what, like, it's okay to be racist. It's not a big deal because you know, it's not something that you can control. It's something that other people kind of like foist upon you.
Well,
Based
you
on,
can't be racist, young one. Race is a construct.
yeah, yeah, like I don't like it, yeah. It's almost to the point where I don't care if you're racist as a person. Like I don't see you as a bad person just because you're racist. And
No. I think we understand the distinction we're making here. A person who has a genuine hatred of other people, we're not endorsing that person.
no,
But a person that just thinks there should be some kind of border control,
yeah,
yeah, fine, that person's a racist, whatever.
yeah,
But
yeah,
the guy who has a genuine hatred of Mexicans, I think we're both in agreement. Fuck that guy.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But a guy that just believes in maybe we should have tighter controls on our border.
Yeah.
That guy's fine. He's fine. Don't worry, America. He's
Like,
fine.
but if that guy's racist, then you know, hey, racists aren't that bad.
Hey, if he's racist, I'm racist.
Yeah, I might as well be racist.
You know,
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm racist.
Yeah.
You know, though, not to get off the subject, I was thinking everyone really probably. I mean, one thing you'll hear people on the left say is borders are a social construct. I've been seeing that a lot. Well, actually, for a long time now, but more and more recently. You know, there should be no immigration laws. Borders are a construct. People should be able to move freely. I think everyone probably should endorse at least the concept of borders, because to me it's very closely related to the idea of personal property rights, which
Yeah.
is kind of the foundation of individual freedom.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you can't have freedom without at least some idea of boundaries.
Hmm.
That's kind of off the subject, but
No, yeah, no, it's totally on.
I thought I'd mention it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's like okay.
I mean, I don't think a person that doesn't believe in the concept of borders would appreciate if 25 homeless people decided they were going to use their house as a commune.
Yeah,
And there was no protections under the law for them against that action.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they don't.
Like I saw this story of a guy in the military. He had a house in Detroit, and a guy just moved into his house, and eventually he was forcibly removed because he didn't own it. So the guy was deployed. He was a military guy, and he was deployed overseas, and he had a house in Detroit. And in the meantime, a squatter just moved in.
Mm-hmm.
And this poor veteran, it took him a heck of an effort to get this guy out of his house, but he eventually did. Because you just can't squat in someone's house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't think people would appreciate that. And I think we all agree that that's not an action that should be allowed. You shouldn't just be allowed to go in someone's house.
Yeah, just
And seize it as your own. Anyway, that's kind of off the subject.
No, I think it's totally on subject, and I think that's the way these people think. Is it's like
Well, I'll kind of jokingly say they don't. They will brainlessly utter, "Oh, borders are a construct," without actually reflecting on what that actually means and the implications of such a thought.
Yeah. Well,
If
yeah,
you don't believe, if you don't think borders are a if you think borders are a construct, that's not too far removed from thinking personal property rights are a construct.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. Like, they say that, like, you know, XYZ is a social construct, like, as though that devalues anything.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, just because it's a social construct doesn't mean it's not fucking important. Like, the alphabet is a social construct. It's fucking important. Like, we can't just go around acting like the alphabet isn't real. Like,
Yeah.
like, we can't just go around acting like borders and property rights and race isn't fucking real, even if it is just a social construct.
Right.
Like, it's a social construct for a fucking reason because it works and it's useful and it's like it's the way people perceive reality. Like, you know, like, and like it's my property because it's my property, and the reason that we have personal property rights is because we don't need people going around shooting each other all the time over who thinks they own what property.
Right. That's my well.
Yeah.
No, it's my well.
Yeah. No, we have the government to sit there and say, okay, this belongs to a certain person. That's why we give them like unilateral control over like the judgment of like who can have force, is because we're not about to sit here and fight 100-year war over who gets like 10 square kilometers of property.
Yeah.
We're not doing that anymore. We're in a civilized society, and we say like, okay, you're the arbiter of justice. Who gets this property? This person gets this property. Okay, very well. Like, and then you just kind of throw your hands up and you get over it, because like the only other recourse you have is to fight a fucking war over it. And we're past that.
Which would happen, by the way.
Oh yeah, it would happen throughout all of human history. That's how human history is worked. Is somebody says I own this land and somebody else says no, I own this land. They both raise armies and they fight each other over it. Like that's how human history works. And as a civilized society, we sat around and said it's not a good idea for everybody to just raise armies and fight over plots of land. Therefore, we should consolidate force and just designate like, yeah, this person owns land and this person doesn't. Like, it might not be fair to everybody, but at least masses of people just aren't getting killed over nothing.
Yeah, right. I mean, if you don't believe in immigration laws, you're really not too far removed from believing that everything just belongs to everyone.
Yeah.
Or nothing belongs to anyone.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and you know what? If you believe that, then like, why are you even campaigning for anything? Why don't you just share what you have with everybody else that you meet along your way and just fucking be it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, these people aren't opening their doors for everyone.
Yeah.
But you know, as is the case with people that say these things, that's always that's for someone else to do.
Yeah.
Opening their doors and relinquishing their possessions, those are things for someone else to do, not them specifically.
Yeah.
In that one video of the college student trying to debate Dinesh D'Souza, saying that you know, paying reparations and redistributing wealth is the you know, just thing to do. Dinesh D'Souza said, okay, well, if you do that, why don't you give an underprivileged person your education? Why don't you withdraw from school and give an underprivileged person your education?
Yeah,
well, of course he was not going to do that. It's not for him to give something like that up. It's for someone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
In his thinly veiled attempt to mask his belief that, oh, that's only for people on the right to do.
Yeah. Basically.
But like I said before, if you're not willing to open up your own doors, then how could you possibly expect someone else to?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. That's
I mean, you're just a pussy at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. How dare you demand that the United States let in immigrants from XYZ country if you wouldn't let a random immigrant from that country into your own home?
Right. How many people from Mexico are you going to house while
Yeah.
they seek employment and
Yeah, that's the thing.
situate themselves? Because I mean, I think there's probably a couple hundred people in Mexico, a couple 100 million people in Mexico. I bet you a good 100 million of them would come over if there was no border.
Yeah. Yep.
Like Mexico it's not the greatest place in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's because their government sucks.
Our population will go to 500 million.
Yep.
Probably in a month. That seems like a huge burden.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like if you I wouldn't mind if everybody who said that they wanted more immigrants here was willing to open up their own home and just take them in themselves. And it's like, okay, that has nothing to do with me. You go ahead and take however many you want into your own fucking home. I don't give a shit. It's not my burden.
Yeah.
It's not coming out of my pocket. You have taken the personal responsibility in terms of legal authority and and the safety of your individual neighborhood. Like, fuck yeah, we can blame you if anybody that you've taken into your house goes wrong.
Yeah. So going back to what we were talking about, a person who wants border laws, they're thinking about, obviously personal property rights. They're thinking about, oh, it's unfair to distribute government resources towards individuals that haven't paid anything into the system. That's an argument people like that make. I guess they're just racists now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what constitutes a racist. People who understand economics.
Yeah. That's always been my dad's thrust. Oh, it's not fair that a Mexican person could get Social Security. I've paid into it for 50 years.
Yeah, despite the fact that Social Security is a stupid system in the first.
That's what motivates his beliefs.
Yeah.
It's just not fair in his worldview that a Mexican person could receive benefits at his expense.
Years, yeah.
Which, whether you agree with it or not, I think it's a reasonable view.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good expression of the average person on the issue.
Yeah.
It's not that they want to deny a person a reasonable standard of living. They just kind of have an inherent understanding that, it's probably an unsustainable burden. And, there's severe tax implications.
Yeah, there's all that.
But I guess they're just racist now.
Yeah, that is frustrating to have to deal with. All right, dude. I think I'm gonna go to sleep.
Okay, yeah. Good talking to you.
Yeah, we'll see you around, buddy.
Yeah.
Later.
Good night.